Hey guys. This is part 9 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by the Goddess Artemis. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 24, Disintegrate? Really? A blond boy stirred. Well, he tried. The moment he attempted to move a muscle, he was met with intense pain. Arg! He growled as the wave of aches hit his body. He then remembered the last thing he did before falling into consciousness. He managed to save her sister from her fate. That was good. But did that mean he traded places with her? Damn. That sucked. Well, shit. Naruto cursed out loud. He was broken out of his thoughts when he heard a childlike giggle in the background. He sat up despite the discomfort and looked around. Beside him, his eyes met with a pair of green and black eyes. Her hair was the same color as the dirt on the ground, and her dress matched the color of her eyes. Naruto slapped a hand over his mouth. Despite how angry he was, he still remembered not to curse in front of a child like that. Sorry about that. He scratched the back of his head and apologized. The girl giggled again. You're funny. I like you? Naruto let out a nervous laugh. He didn't know what to make of this little girl. He didn't know if he should trust her or not. Especially in an unknown place like this. Wait. That's right. For the first time since he woke up, he realized that he didn't know where he was. Heck, was this even still the Earth he had come to know? He had been to the underworld already, and this doesn't look anything like it. Hey, little girl, Naruto said, studying his surroundings. Where are we? That's not important. The little girl got up and skipped away. Oh, where are you going? Naruto protested. At least tell me what I am doing here. Oh, nothing. The girl sent him an innocent smile. I just wanted to meet you before I send you back. What? Send me back? Naruto asked, getting more confused by the second. The girl giggled and started to walk away again. It's still not your time. I still want to play with you. What? The girl was starting to irk him. She wasn't making sense at all. What are dash? He was about to ask more, when his body began glowing a golden light. He was definitely surprised. He stared at himself, stunned at what was happening. And then, his body turned corporeal. It was see-through. That meant he really did die. So, was he really getting sent back to his body? That's what the little girl said. Wait, he was still calling her little girl. He didn't even know her name yet. He looked back up to the girl to ask her name, but now, the girl was gone. There was nothing in front of him except a pile of dirt that got blown away by the wind. Naruto was completely dumbfounded by what he found. He didn't even sense the girl disappear, and he had refined ninja senses. Yet he didn't even get to ponder on that, because it was his turn to disappear. Somewhere in the SKS, Naruto woke up for the second time. He almost panicked because he found himself on a familiar Pegasus's back, flying 1,000 feet in the sky. To their right, there was a white horse he had come to know as Pork Pie, who was carrying a slumbering Talia. That was weird, the height didn't even bother her. Was she that tired? Anywho, to their left was another white horse that looked like a unicorn with that weird horn on her head. It was the horse that took a liking to him in Pegasus riding lessons. What was her name again? Right, I think Selena said her name was Sierra. This particular Pegasus was carrying her older sister figure. That brought a smile to his lips. He had succeeded in saving them. And lastly, in front of them was a pure black Pegasus that they had liberated from Luke's ship last summer. It was Blackjack, and he was carrying his adopted brother, Percy. As for him, he was riding another white Pegasus who he recognized as Guido, but he didn't feel like he was alone on the winged horse. He felt the soft hands holding his hand and the familiar voice of a girl that was repeating words almost like a chant. Please be okay, please be okay, she repeated constantly. Before he could say anything, he was met by the bright lights of New York flashing before him. He could never get over it. It was so overwhelming. But he had to say, he still preferred the quiet woods of Camp Half-Blood. It wasn't Konoha, but he will take what he can get. There it is! Talia's voice came from beside him. She had woken up sometime in between his thoughts. It started! Naruto was amazed by the lights of New York, but it was nothing to empty Olympus. From where they were, they could see that it was its own island of light floating above the Empire State Building. The whole mountain was there, filled with white marble palaces and lit ablaze by torches and braziers. The Pegasi circled around the mountain, making a complete orbit around Mount Olympus before flying through the streets that bustled with demigods, nature spirits and minor gods and goddesses. He could hear the 9 muses performing a song unique to everyone present. Despite being in the dead of night, the whole place seemed to be awake. It seemed that the whole place didn't sleep. And you wouldn't even know it was winter outside. The winged horses landed in front of the greatest of all the palaces that stood on the mountain of the gods. Naruto surprised everybody by getting down on his own. They were supposed to enter the Hall of the Gods, but this even delayed them. Ow! He nursed his head as he landed on the ground. His body still ached from the heavy blow. Man, he underestimated Atlas's strength big time. Before he could say hi and apologize to his friends, Annabeth immediately wrapped him in a tight embrace. That brought a smile to his face. The girl wasn't mad at him anymore for whatever reason that he never even knew to begin with. "Hey guys," Naruto said in his trademark grin. He then looked at Annabeth and placed a hand on her head. "Hey Annabeth. What did I miss?" "You idiot." The daughter of Athena sobbed into his chest. "What were you thinking?" "Sorry about that." Naruto chuckled nervously. "I wasn't thinking." "Yeah, you better be sorry." Talia lightly punched Naruto in the shoulder. "I think we almost lost you there." "Glad to have you back, Naruto." Percy came by as well to welcome back his brother. "This is good and all, but we must not keep the gods waiting." Zoe suddenly spoke up, but she was trying to hide her shock. That seemed to get the demigods out of their surprise. And so, they readied themselves for a meeting with the Council of the Gods. Upon entering the hall of the elegant palace, they immediately noticed the 12 massive thrones arranged in a U-shape similar to how the cabins at Camp Half-Blood were arranged. All those seats were occupied by their respective god or goddess, each in their 15-feet form. First, there was Zeus wearing his signature pinstripe suit, his beard neatly trimmed and his eyes sparkling with energy. Next to him sat a beautiful woman with silver hair braided over one shoulder and a dress that shimmered a multitude of colors, like a peacock. She was the queen of the gods, Hera. On Thunder God's right, there was Poseidon, looking vastly different from his brother. He was wearing a casual get-up consisting of a Hawaiian shirt paired with beach shorts and sandals. Next to him was a completely different-looking man from what you would expect. He still had the steel brace on his feet, but the upper part of his body was different. He was still bulky, a trait he got from working the forges for millennia, but his head was completely wrapped in bandages with only one red eye showing through the wraps. By position alone, you could deduce that it was the Lord of the Forges, Hephaestus. There was also Hermes, who was wearing a business suit. He was constantly checking a mobile phone with a caduceus symbol on the back. Apollo was lounging on his throne wearing those headphones that didn't have a wire on them, and in his hands was an iPod which was probably playing music. Dionysus looked the way he always did at camp, complete with the wine magazine and an extremely bored look on his face. And lastly, there was Ares, who was sitting on a chrome and leather throne. He was glowering at the demigods, perhaps at Percy in particular. On the ladies' side of the throne room, on Hera's left, there was Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. She was a dark-haired goddess in green robes, and she sat on a throne made of woven apple tree branches. Next to her was an elegant and beautiful goddess with gray eyes and a white dress. The eyes alone would tell you that it was Annabeth's mother, Athena. And finally, there was Aphrodite, who looked the same way as when she met Naruto and Percy. She looked knowingly at Percy and Naruto, but for the latter, I couldn't be so sure. She seemed kind of disappointed. Well anyway, those were the gods present. As soon as the massive doors swung open in order for the demigods to enter, these super-powerful beings trained their eyes towards them. That unnerved them, to say the least. I mean, who wouldn't? A room full of gods goes silent, and all attention turns on you as soon as you walk in. You'd sooner want to fight a monster. "Welcome, heroes," Artemis greeted. Came the familiar sound of a certain sea cow as soon as the goddess said that. That was when they also noticed that Grover and Bianca were kneeling in front of Zeus's throne as if giving a report. Along with them, there was Bessie, or the Ophiuchus, surrounded in a sphere of water hovering in the center of the room, next to the hearth. He was swimming happily around, swishing his serpent tails, and poking his head out the sides of the spear. Grover rose happily when he heard the doors open and picked up the scent of his friends. He hurriedly ran to them. "You guys made it!" he cried as ran to his friends. Grover. Wait. Bianca tried to stop him. Fortunately for the satyr, the king of Olympus ignored Grover's disrespect because he was staring intently at her daughter. And Grover, realizing what he had done, he looked to the master of the house for permission. No other god or human dared to speak. Only the clop of Grover's hooves on the marble floor, Bessie's water splashes, and the crackle of the hearth fire was heard in the whole hall. "Go on," Zeus absent-mindedly said. It was clear he wasn't even paying attention. His focus was solely on his daughter. Grover continued on his way to greet his friends, and Bianca joined him briefly. It was a heartfelt reunion. All 6 members of the quest were once again gathered, which was rare for quests to begin with, yet here they were defying odds and maybe fate itself. One thing to note though was that Bianca seemed relieved. It was like she had learned of something that the others didn't know about, and that something didn't happen. When it was her turn to greet Naruto, she looked at him like he had come back from the dead. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Naruto joked. Bianca looked at him like he grew a second head. "I can't explain it, but it was like I felt a soul leave a body. And somehow I knew it was you. Did you die or something?" This idiot acted rashly and threw himself in front of Atlas's attack. Annabeth answered for the shinobi. Grover was shocked at what he heard. He couldn't believe it when Bianca told him on the way to Olympus, but now, the words Annabeth had said confirmed the youngest demigod's premonition of sorts. "You did what?" Grover all but screamed at the blonde who was now acting sheepish. But how are you here?" Before Naruto could answer, the satyr quickly pivoted, remembering what the gods had talked about before his friends arrived. "Wait! That's not important right now!" He panicked, causing the subject he had pushed aside to let out a sweat drop. "Naruto, Percy, you have to stop them! They can't do it!" Whoa. Talia calmed down the goat man. "What are they about to do?" Grover opened his mouth to speak, but he didn't get the chance to because Artemis called out. "Heroes!" The moon goddess slid down her throne and shrunk down to the size of the demigods. She walked towards them with no emotion on her face. She was keeping it professional even in the presence of her son. "I guess she has to be in front of the council. The council has been informed of your deeds," she began. "They have also been told of Mount Athres. They know of Atlas's attempt for freedom and the gathering armies of Kronos. We have voted to act." The other gods mumbled in their seats, while some shuffled nervously in their seats. It was weird seeing the gods like this. Despite being super powerful beings, something still unnerved them. While others looked like they weren't happy with the decision, they didn't protest. "At my lord Zeus's command," the moon goddess continued, "my brother, Apollo, and I shall hunt the most powerful monsters and strike them down before they can join the Titan Lord's cause. We will also eliminate the shinobi who had joined his side if they continue to oppose us." Naruto wanted to protest at that statement, but Artemis gave him a look that told him not to say anything. "Lady Athena will personally check on the other Titans to make sure they do not escape their prisons. Lord Poseidon has been given permission to unleash his full fury on the cruise ship, the Princess Andromeda, and send it to the bottom of the sea. And as for you, my heroes," she announced. She then turned to face the other immortals. "These heroes have done Olympus a great service. Would any of you deny that?" She looked around to the gathered gods, meeting their faces individually, probably daring anyone to challenge. "I gotta say, these kids did okay." Apollo cleared his throat and stood up, raising his hands. "Heroes win laurels dash, yes, first class," Hermes hurriedly said to prevent the annoying poem. "All in favor of not disintegrating them?" "Disintegrating?" Percy protested. "After all we dash." Before he could say anything more, Grover placed his hands over the boy's mouth. Demeter and Aphrodite raised their hands tentatively. "Wait just a darn minute," Ares growled. He pointed at the 3 main demigods of the quest. "I understand not disintegrating Blondie over here, but why the other 2? They are dangerous. It would be safer to disintegrate them while they are here. Or we could imprison the blonde brat like we did the Titans." "I am surprised you understand something," Athena said under her breath. "Ares," Poseidon countered. "They are worthy heroes. We will not blast my son to bits." "Nor my daughter," Zeus grumbled. She had done well. That comment caused Talia to blush. Artemis glared at Ares for his suggestion. Athena cleared her throat and sat forward. "While I am proud of my daughter, the 3 pose a security risk," Annabeth protested. "Mother! How can you dash?" The goddess of wisdom cut her off with a calm but firm look. It is unfortunate that my father, Zeus, and my uncle, Poseidon, chose to break their oath, and only Hades kept his oath. It is a fact I find quite ironic. As we all know, the great prophecy speaks of a child of the eldest gods, such as Percy and Thyla, who are dangerous. As thick-headed as Ares is, I fear he might be right. Right. Ares nodded smugly, but he realized what Athena called him and stood up for a fight. Hey! Who are you calling thick-headed? Before anything could happen, a grapevine wrapped around Ares and plopped him right down on his throne. Oh please, save the fighting for later. Dionysus sighed. Ares cursed and ripped the vines off his chest. You are one to talk, you old drunk! You wish to protect these brats. Mr. D regarded them wearily. These were his campers, not that he cared for them or anything. I have no love for them, he said. Athena, do you really think it is wise to destroy them? I do not pass judgment, Athena explained. I only point out the risks. It is up to the council to decide what we must do with them. Artemis spoke up again. I insist that we reward them. They have done us a great favor, and this is how we reward them? If that is how we think, then we are no better than the Titans. If this is Olympian justice, then I want no part of it. Geez, calm down, sis, Apollo said. Lighten up a little. Don't call me, sis, Artemis snapped. We are at the council. At least be formal. Well, Zeus grumbled. Perhaps, but we all agree that the monster is to be destroyed at least? A lot of heads nodded in agreement. That's what I wanted to say, Grover whispered. They want to kill Bessie. Percy picked this up and spoke up. You want to destroy Bessie? Oh, here we go. Naruto sighed and looked at his brother nervously. Muh! Bessie protested for fear of his life. You named the Alpha-Taurus Bessie? Poseidon frowned. Dad, Percy said. He's just a sea creature, a really nice sea creature. You can't destroy him. The sea god shifted uncomfortably. Percy, the monster's power is considerable. If the Titans were to steal it or dash, you can't, Percy insisted. He then turned to Zeus and looked him in the eyes. Naruto noticed this and tried to warn the boy. Oi, Percy! Don't dash. Percy didn't listen. He continued, controlling prophecies never works. Isn't that true? Besides, the Alpha-Taurus is innocent. Killing something like that is just as wrong as Kronos eating his kids. His friends were impressed. Percy was presenting quite a point. It was still to be seen if it would affect the stubborn king of the gods, but still, it was uncommon for the boy. And what of the risk? Zeus said, considering the boy's argument. Kronos knows full well that if any of you were to sacrifice the beast's entrails, you would have the power to destroy us. We cannot let that possibility remain. You have to trust them. Annabeth argued. Trust a hero? Zeus scowled. Well, I don't know what all those quests you gods make us do if you don't trust us at all. Naruto said honestly. Why, you dash. Zeus began, only to be cut off by Artemis. My son and the girl make a fair point. The moon goddess came for the save. Which is why I will give my first reward. Before that, my lady, Zoe said with a bow, I feel as if I have failed you as the lieutenant of the hunt. I have allowed for your capture. I wish to step down. Zoe. Artemis looked at her fellow hunter with pity. Nobody blames you for my loss. If anything, my carelessness was just as much to blame. I insist, my lady. Zoe insisted. With all my years at your side, I have learned nothing. Besides, we already have a worthy candidate present. Artemis smiled. Despite what she was saying, her lieutenant was still on the same page as her. Very well, if that is what you wish. She relented. Lord Zeus, I wish to speak with you privately. Grover's face was pale as he watched the moon goddess speak to Zeus's ear. It was like he knew who Artemis and Zoe were talking about. He must have hidden it from them. Naruto and Percy looked at their best friend. They tried to ask what was the satyr's problem, but they couldn't get to it. Artemis was finished with her conversation. It's settled, she said. I shall have a new lieutenant if she will accept. That got the attention of everyone. Artemis was now standing in front of Thalia. Thalia, daughter of Zeus, will you join my hunt? Naruto's heart sank upon hearing what his mother had to say. He had to say, he didn't understand what he was feeling, but he knew that he was happy when he was with the daughter of Zeus, and now that he was about to lose her, he felt a little ache in his heart. He rushed to Talia's side and grabbed her hand. Talia, are you going to leave us? That was what he said, but by the way he was saying it, it sounded like, are you going to leave me? Talia's eyes met with Annabeth, who was looking hurt. Although she knew that it wasn't because of her choice. She moved her eyes to Naruto and tightened her grip on the blonde's hand. I have thought this through, Naruto. I have to do this. Consider this well, daughter. Zeus interjected. I have, father. Talia looked to the king of the gods. It is as you said, there is a risk involved in letting us run free. I do not know if I can handle another temptation from Kronos. I am afraid I might give in. Besides, isn't this what you wanted? Control the prophecy? With this, I will not turn 16 tomorrow. The prophecy will never be mine. And the Titan Lord will never be able to tempt me ever again. Did you forget? Naruto countered, causing Talia to look back at him. I will always be by your side in your weakest times. How about the times when we are not together? She argued. Naruto, despite what you say, you will not be by my side all the time. He might take advantage of the times when we are apart. You might even have your hands full with me and Percy. No, Naruto, there is too much at risk. I have already made up my mind. She wrapped Naruto in one last embrace. She may have made her decision right then and there, but it doesn't mean that she didn't have any regrets. This was the boy who didn't give up on her when he met her in the limbo. Despite how impossible it was at that time to get her out of the tree, he persevered, and we all know how that ended. After all, she was standing in the arms of the blonde idiot. If she were honest to herself, the decision hurt, but she had to be mature and accept that it was necessary. After a good long while in each other's arms and not bothered by the stares of her friends and the 12 powerful beings, she let go of him and pressed her lips on the blonde's forehead. After that, their eyes once again met. I know you can make it without me. Besides, she didn't complete her statement. She left that for the blonde to find out. Naruto just nodded as she wiped the tears from his eyes. She walked over to Percy and embraced him, not as tightly as she did to Naruto, but the emotion was still there. When she broke their hug, Percy asked, Are you really going to join? I must join them, Percy, she explained. I had a blast with you guys, but I still haven't felt at peace ever since Half-Blood Hill. I was supposed to be dead, remember? This way, I will finally have peace, without worrying when Kronos will strike next. But you, are you ready to take on the prophecy? Great, Percy muttered. Don't remind me. Even though I tease you a lot, just know that I am proud to be your friend. She then moved over to Annabeth. She embraced her as well. The daughter of Athena was trying hard not to cry, but she did listen to what she had to say to her. Take care of the idiot for me, will you? Talia whispered in her ear. She will be needing you more now, I will. Annabeth sniffled. She also hugged Grover. Well, she was one of her closest friends. He was the one who tried his best to escort her to camp, even if he failed. She still didn't blame him for it. It was her choice to make her last stand at the top of the hill. Anyway, Grover looked like he was about to pass out from the contact. Naruto wasn't in the mood to make fun of the satyr, so he got a free pass on that one. And lastly, she embraced Bianca. After all that they've been through in the quest, she couldn't help but get close to the young demigod. Although, she still wondered who her godly parent was, and it might be any one of those that were gathered in this building. Train hard, Bianca, she said. Things will only get worse from here. I will. The young demigods nodded. Talia then took a deep breath after all the farewells were done. She knelt in front of the moon goddess and said, What is my pledge, my lady? Say this, Zoe dictated. I pledge myself to the goddess Artemis. I turn my back on the company of men. Talia repeated those words and her oath was complete. She then stood up and clapped Zoe on the back before joining her on Artemis's side. That is good and all. Mr. D broke the moment. But there is still the risk of this boy and the Alpha Taurus. Even if we spare the boy Dash. Percy almost forgot about that. That moment made him forget that the gods were discussing whether or not they were to kill him. No, he interjected. You must keep the Alpha Taurus safe. He is innocent. My dad can keep him safe under the sea, or you can build an aquarium here. You have to protect him. And why should we trust you? Rumbled a lazy Hephaestus. Why have us go on a quest if you don't trust us? Talia muttered under her breath. I am only 14, Percy said. If the prophecy is about me, that is 2 more years. 2 years for Kronos to deceive you. Athena said. Much can change in 2 years. That also means 2 years to prepare, Lady Athena, Naruto added. Would you deny that? They are right, Athena. Poseidon confirmed Naruto's words. I will not destroy the sea creature. I can help it. I can protect it under the sea. He even summoned his signature weapon to prove his point. You will not take the animal under the sea. Zeus refused, even summoning his weapon to match the sea god. I won't allow you to have a bargaining chip in your possession. Poseidon sighed. Fine, to appease you, brother, Hephaestus and I shall build an aquarium to house the creature. We shall make sure the creature is safe here with all our powers. As for the boy, he will not betray us. I vouch for him in my honor. All in favor? Zeus asked once his concerns were addressed. To the demigod's surprise, a lot of hands went up. Not all hands came up, though, but it was still most of the gods present. Naturally, Dionysus abstained. He still didn't have a love for heroes, and Ares and Athena did the same as well. Ares declined cause he was still miffed about getting beat up at Santa Monica Beach, and Athena did so cause she wanted to protect Olympus in any way possible. We have a majority, Zeus decreed. And since we will not be destroying them, I imagine a reward is in order. Let us celebrate their triumph tonight. Chapter 25: Olympian Parties and Other Fluff. Do you know the usual gossip around school about a guy named Brad who threw a sick party on the weekend when his parents weren't home? Or if you aren't like this author, a hikikomori, or shut-in like me, then maybe you have been to a party that you would have described as rad. Take that thought into the mind and shove it in the trash can, because an Olympian party vastly overshadows that. That's where our heroes were attending right now. And that said party was dedicated to them as a reward for a job well done. First off, the music that the demigods could hear around them was coming from the 9 muses themselves. The best part was that there was no fighting for which song you wanted to play. The music you hear could be anything you want. The refreshments from the party were provided by Lord Dionysus from grapevines that sprouted from the ground. Of course, they, along with Mr. D, weren't allowed to have wine. Despite that, the campers actually saw their camp director with a happy expression on his face for once. He walked around growing the refreshment tables while he was arm in arm with his wife Ariadne. They didn't think they were going to see him smile, ever. Aside from that, the tables were filled with nectar and ambrosia spraying from golden fountains for the godly guests, platters of mortal food snacks for the demigods and hunters present, and tin cans for the goat population. Each of the partygoers carried golden goblets to house their drinks. These were similar to the ones the campers used at camp. They filled with whatever drink you wanted. Grover took full advantage of this as he carried his own goblet filled with a double shot of espresso latte while he kept muttering the words, "Pan, pan!" It seems he still believed that the coffee was responsible for the voice in his head. It was a fun event, but there seems to be one demigod who doesn't seem to be enjoying the festivities. A blonde-haired boy sat at the stand of a particular ramen shop. It was his favorite one, the very same one from his homeworld. Yet he was picking at his food. He had gone and ordered ramen with his favorite broth and all the toppings he could, except the menma toppings. He didn't like that one. Somewhere in the crowd, Artemis mingled with the guests, but she couldn't get her mind off of her son, and it showed. She felt partly responsible for this, but what could she do? It was Talia's decision to join. She didn't even need to convince her. The promotion to lieutenant was a bonus. Annabeth noticed this and talked to the goddess. What's wrong, Lady Artemis? Is the party not up to your liking? Ah, Annabeth. Artemis tried for a smile. It's not that. I worry for Naruto. He didn't take Talia's decision all too well. Aphrodite squealed beside them after hearing the conversation. He's so cute. Just the kind of love story I want. Artemis pointed at the love goddess accusingly and scolded. Did you have something to do with this? I don't know what you're talking about. Aphrodite feigned ignorance. Why you dash? Artemis growled at her, but the love goddess managed to slip away cackling and disappeared into the crowd. The moon goddess just sighed. She turned to Annabeth and said, I don't know what to tell my son when it comes to this kind of stuff. I swore of any kind of romance because of my father's habits, and now I don't know what to do. I could talk to him for you. Annabeth offered. You'd do that? Artemis's expression softened. Gladly, ma'am, she said. I am worried for him too. And so she did. She spent quite a bit of time looking through the crowd, but she just couldn't find him. Darn those ninjas and their hiding skills. Where was she supposed to find him? She thought for a while, thinking where the blonde ninja could be, and then it hit her. She remembered watching Naruto as he ate alone at table 8 from her own table, table 6. There was only one thing on his table along with the goblet of overflowing drinks. With that thought in mind, she set off to her destination. Annabeth stood a few feet from the counter waiting for the perfect time to talk to him. She was right to come here. Seeing no sign or anything was coming, she took a deep breath and decided to go through with it. She sat down beside the blonde and ordered a bowl for herself. The shinobi didn't seem to notice her. That was good. She didn't want to start up the conversation just yet. Waiting for her fellow blonde to say the first word, he took a sip of her own broth and moaned at the flavor. She could understand why the boy goes gaga over this stuff. It was really delicious. What am I doing? Annabeth thought to herself. I should get it over with. Thinking to go with the aggressive approach, she picked up the Naruto fish cake from Naruto's bowl. That seemed to have worked because it elicited a response from Naruto. Hey, what gives dash? Naruto complained, but he stopped when he saw it was only Annabeth. Oh, Annabeth. Shouldn't you be enjoying yourself at the party? He tried to reach for the fish cake, but the girl held it out of arm's reach. I should ask you the same question. Annabeth threw the question back at him. I was enjoying some ramen, Naruto answered, sitting back down on his stool. Can I have my Naruto back? You look like you didn't want it, since you didn't even touch your food, so I'm eating it, Annabeth said, putting the fish cake into her mouth. Fine, you can have it. Naruto relented. He just returned to picking at his food. So Naruto, she began. Are you okay? I don't know. Naruto mumbled softly, but it was just enough for her to hear. I'm sorry about Taliah, Annabeth said. Naruto sighed. Well, there was nothing you could have done. I couldn't have talked her out of it. Well, for what it's worth, I appreciate you coming to my rescue, Annabeth said, smiling down at her own bowl of ramen. I couldn't let them keep one of my closest friends, can I? Naruto grinned. Annabeth tried for a smile despite the weird feeling in her chest. Oh, you! She giggled. So, will you be okay? Annabeth continued. I don't know. Naruto shook his head. I thought ramen would help me get over it, but it's a lot harder than I thought. What about you? You saw Luke fall, right? She was taken aback by the question. She was just here to cheer the boy up. She didn't expect him to throw the question back at her. I worry about you too, you know, Naruto said. You grew up with them, right? Annabeth nodded. Even though this boy had problems of his own, he was still thinking about his friends. Honestly, Naruto, he's still alive out there. I know he is, Annabeth said. Do you still think Luke can be saved? Naruto asked. Of course he can, she answered. This isn't the Luke that Taliah and I grew up with. He's being controlled by Kronos. Then we'll knock some sense into him and bring him back, Naruto said, causing the girl to widen her eyes. This was one more thing she didn't expect. Even if everyone else wanted to bring Luke down, there was Naruto who was different from the others. You don't want to kill him? I told you about Sasuke, didn't I? Naruto picked at his food. Your old teammate? Annabeth looked at him. He nodded. He lost his parents and his whole clan. He is so absorbed in vengeance that he even sold his soul to the devil to gain power. Even then, I know he can still be saved despite what the pervy sage says. Annabeth smiled. I'm so happy you want to help me, but we can think about that another time. For now. She dropped down her stool and held Naruto by his arm, tugging him off his stool. Come on. Wait. My ramen! Naruto protested, but he still allowed himself to get dragged. Where are you taking me anyway? Just wait and see. Annabeth giggled. Think of this as a princess thanking the gallant knight for saving her. Oh, whatever you say, Haim, Naruto said. After telling the ramen stand attendant that they will be back, Annabeth took Naruto whatever she had planned that night. They squeezed through the crowd, and the blonde shinobi saw where the girl was taking him. It was the dance floor. Annabeth took the two of them to the middle of the floor, then she finally let go of the boy's hand and turned to him. So, are you ready? Annabeth asked, her eyes looking away bashfully and her hands twiddling the thumbs. It was then the music changed in Naruto's mind. It was like his mind synced with the music Annabeth had changed it to. Naruto scratched his head bashfully. Funny thing, though. I've been absorbed in training that I never practiced for any of this stuff. He let out a nervous laugh. Well, that's to be expected considering where you're from, but it's okay, Annabeth said. I can teach you if you want. Don't complain if your feet are sore after. Naruto joked. Whatever. She rolled her eyes. Give me your hands. She took his hand and placed it on her shoulder. With her other hand, she took it and held it up in a waltz position. She directed their movements, swaying with the music that the two could only hear. Oh, Annabeth complained. You actually stepped on me. Sorry, Naruto said sheepishly. She should have seen this coming. I told you so, don't worry. Annabeth smiled. We got all night together. With Percy also at OLYMPUS. Percy sighed as he held a cup of cherry coke, and if you were going to ask, yes. It was blue. Naturally. It was a bittersweet victory. He didn't think he had to argue for the gods to keep him and his friends alive. Was it this easy for immortals to play with the lives of mere mortals like them? Maybe Luke was right about the gods. Nah, that's stupid. He was broken out of his thoughts when a familiar voice came hollering up to him. Yo, Percy. He turned to see Apollo grinning at him. He didn't remember how many gods had come to congratulate him. He was so lost in his thoughts that he lost count and forgot who came by to talk to him. Hey, Lord Apollo, he greeted, trying to be polite. Nah, you're cool. The god waved him off. Apollo is fine. Anyway, congrats on getting back to my little sister and your friend. You can drive the sun chariot any time if you want, and if you want some archery lessons, just give me a holler. Thanks, but no thanks, Percy declined. I'd rather not hit you in the behind. Nonsense, you can't be that bad at archery. Apollo waved him off once again. Target practice from the sun chariot. Now, that's something to look forward to. Percy gave him a nervous laugh. Say, have you seen my nephew anywhere? Apollo asked. He's somewhere at the dance floor, Percy answered, trying to hide the bitterness in his voice. Cool, thanks, the sun god said. Think about my offer and we'll schedule that at a later date. Yeah, sure, Percy said, sighing at the last encounter with a god. He still wasn't used to his popularity yet. He went back to stare at his strange blue coke, but as you could tell, another god came up to him, but this time it was different. It was his own father. You won't let me down, I hope. His father's voice came from behind him again. Hi, Dad, Percy greeted. Hello, Percy. Why are you alone at a party that is about you? Poseidon asked. No reason at all. He lied. What brings you here, Dad? I am just here to congratulate you, personally, the sea god said. You have done well. Never in the millennia had I seen a 6-man unit like yours survive without any casualties. Well, there's a first for everything, Percy answered. And, I won't let you down, I promise. Poseidon nodded. His face was unreadable. That is not all, Poseidon continued. Your friend Luke Dash, he is not my friend, Percy blurted out. Your former friend Luke, the god corrected. He had the same promises as yours. He was his father's pride and joy. Bear in mind, even the bravest can fall. He's not dead, is he? Percy wondered aloud. I am afraid not, Poseidon agreed. I figured, the demigod sighed. After all that's happened, I would be surprised if he did. Even now, his boat sails the seas of San Francisco with my father's remains. They will retreat in the meantime before he makes another move. I will do my part in bombarding their boat with storms, but he is making alliances with the older sea spirits. They will fight to protect him. What about Atlas? He added. He might pull off another stunt and escape again. Poseidon snorted in derision. If it were that easy, then he would have escaped long ago. You see, my son, the curse can only be forced upon the children of Gaia and Uranus. Anyone else must choose to take the burden of their own free will. None in Kronos' army would willingly take it, even when faced with the punishment of death. Luke probably did, Percy said. That was probably why Annabeth took the sky willingly. Well, he is let's say, an interesting case, Poseidon said. He wanted to continue, but he was distracted by Bessie's moves from across the courtyard. I'd better take care of that before they do something they would regret. Percy sighed as he watched his father disappear into the crowd. With Annabeth and Naruto. See, that wasn't too bad, was it? Annabeth said as they sat at the side. Their little dance lesson was already over and now, They were enjoying a couple of drinks. "Oh, don't give me that." Naruto jokingly waved off her comment. "Your feet hurt, don't they?" "Well, to be honest, you kind of stepped on them a lot." "I was just being nice," Annabeth joked back. "So, are you going to be okay now?" "Yeah, I'll manage. Thanks to you." Naruto smiled. "Enjoying the night?" a teasing voice called out. The two turned to see Apollo looking at them with a smirk on his face. "Aw, my little nephew's finally growing up. You're finally going on dates. We were just dash." Naruto and Annabeth both blushed furiously. "See, you are in perfect sync," Apollo swooned. "I'm going to win that bet for sure." "What do you want, Lord Apollo?" Annabeth asked with a pout. "Just here to congratulate you on the job well done on the quest," Apollo said. "But it seems like I was interrupting something." "Nah, we were just talking." Naruto shook his head. "What were you talking about?" Apollo asked with a sly look on his face to tease the two teens, hoping to get a reaction. "Oh, nothing." Naruto had a faraway look on his face. "Was it about Taliah?" Apollo asked, seeing his nephew's expression. "No, no, no!" The shinobi waved his hands in front of him to deny his uncle's question. Apollo looked at the boy with sympathy. "It's okay, little fish cake. I understand how you feel. I too have gone through heartbreak and loss that even now I do not want to talk about. Alas, we can't have everything." Naruto just stared at the god. He had an idea about what this playboy was talking about, and he couldn't believe that he had been heartbroken before, because he was just that, a playboy. Apollo took this as a sign that his nephew had been consoled, so he continued. "Anyway, that girlie of yours, she was one clever girl. To accept your mother's offer just to avoid her birthday, I'm impressed." The blonde shinobi's eyes widened. Apollo's words brought back a thought in mind. "Birthday?" He turned to the girl beside her. "Do you know when Taliah's birthday is? You've been getting all mushy with Taliah, and you don't even know when her birthday is?" Annabeth said with a pout. "Hey! Don't blame me!" Naruto protested. "She never even brought it up in conversation. Give her the benefit of the doubt," Apollo said, playing peacemaker. "Maybe she didn't want to talk about it 'cause she didn't want to think about the prophecy. See? He gets it." Naruto gestured to the god. "Now, do you know when her birthday is or what?" Annabeth sighed. "Fine. It's tomorrow. December 21st. Naruto's eyes widened again. "That means I won't be able to give it to her if I wait any longer." "Give what?" Annabeth asked. Both she and Apollo gave him confused looks. He didn't answer. He just grabbed Annabeth's hand and pulled her along, causing the girl to eep in surprise and blush furiously. "See ya later, Uncle Apple!" Naruto waved goodbye before walking away. "She's my mom's lieutenant now, so if we find Mom, we'll find her," Naruto mumbled as he pulled Annabeth along. "Do you know where my mom is?" Annabeth just nodded bashfully. Apollo sighed, watching the two disappear into the crowd. "Ah, young love!" By this time, Annabeth was the one pulling Naruto through the crowd, leading him to where she last saw the moon goddess. She didn't know what the boy was up to, but he didn't want to deny him a chance to see Taliah and do whatever he was planning. Not too long after wading through the crowds of people, Naruto and Annabeth found themselves facing Artemis and her two hunters, Taliah and Zoe. "Naruto," Artemis regarded her son. "Are you finally okay?" "Yeah, cousin, I'm okay now." Naruto scratched the back of his head. Can I talk to Taliah for a sec?" Artemis nodded and turned back to her new lieutenant. Taliah looked puzzled at what the blonde wanted, but she came forward to meet him nonetheless. "Hey, Naruto. Look. I'm Dash." Naruto shook his head and placed a hand to her lip, interrupting her. "There's nothing for you to apologize about. I'm the one who should say sorry for overreacting like that." "Naruto," Taliah said, staring at the blonde in front of her. "Look, I don't understand what I'm feeling about you either. It just hurt right around here, when you said you would join the hunters." Naruto gestured over to his chest area. "But now I have come to terms with your decision, and I will support you. I realize now that I haven't completely lost you. We can still be friends, right?" "Of course." Taliah smiled at the maturity this boy was showing her. "But more than that, I'm your sister now." Naruto widened his eyes. Man, these current events made him forget about that. "That's right," he exclaimed. "And since you're technically older, you're Taliah Neeson now." Taliah pouted. "Hey, I'm not that older than you." I went through limbo, remember? Even if I didn't join the hunters, I'd be 16. Alright. Naruto raised his hands up at the girl's protest. Speaking of which, while we were looking for Nereus, I secretly made a clone, so I could sneak away and get you this. Naruto revealed what he held tightly in his palm. It was a mini dreamcatcher tied to a string. Happy birthday, oh Naruto, Taliah said. You didn't have to, I insist. Naruto grinned. This is your first birthday ever since we got you out of that tree, and I figured it would be nice if I got you something, but since my Okasan got captured and we had to go on that quest, I didn't have enough time to get you something more special. Taliah was touched. She didn't know what to say. She just shook her head. No, Naruto, she managed. This is more than enough. I accept it, great. Naruto exclaimed in glee. Now to put it on you, wait. He paused. He remembered Taliah's oath. This might be pushing it. He looked to his mother for confirmation. Artemis just nodded, signaling to him that it was okay. Naruto mouthed a thank you to his mom and proceeded to move behind Taliah. He laced the string around her neck and tied a knot. After making sure it was secure, he moved back in front of Taliah and said, There, now, this thing can hold the dreams we couldn't make a reality, and the new dreams we are yet to make. Taliah looked down at the dangling pendant. After a good while, she closed her fist around it and held it close to her heart. She looked back at the blonde and said, Thank you, no problem. Naruto grinned. Happy birthday, Nei-san! The after having a blast in one of the best freaking parties in the entire universe, it was time for the demigods to finally go home. Compared to Olympus, the streets of Manhattan were quiet in the wee hours of the night. Fifth Avenue was completely deserted. The only person, if you could call him that, there was their many-eyed security chief Argus. He was there to pick up Naruto, Grover, Annabeth, Percy, and Bianca and drive them all the way back to camp. It didn't take too long for them to reach home, seeing as the expressways were completely void of cars. During the ride, Percy had told them that Tyson would be visiting in the summer since he was given some time off by his boss for a job well done. Grover didn't seem too happy about that. Even though the lovable big guy was part of the quest to save him from Polyphemus's island, he was still terrified of him. Little did he know, the feeling was actually mutual. They had also learned that they were invited to the Jacksons for a Christmas feast. Grover was eager to see Sally as well. He knew from Percy and Naruto that their life had completely changed ever since Smelly Gabe suddenly disappeared into thin air. Wink wink, Percy even said that it was the first time he had seen his mom smile in ages. With the fun the group was having to talk to each other again, they almost didn't notice that they already made it home. Once they exited the car, they were met with almost freezing temperatures. As they trudged to the big house, they could see the golden fleece glittering like a star in the treetops of Half-Blood Hill. Somewhere along the way, Grover bid them goodbye and ran to find his goat friends to tell them about the recent developments in his search for Pan. At the big house, Chiron and Kakashi greeted the group with even more congratulations and platters of grilled cheese sandwiches and hot chocolate. Every one of the cabin counselors was there to greet them. This time, even Clarice was there. She was finally back from some super-secret mission that Chiron had sent her to, and she was also surprisingly civil. Though, she did change a bit. She now sported a scar on her chin, and her dirty blonde hair was cut short. When everyone was settled, Chiron spoke up with forced cheerfulness. Everyone join me in welcoming back our questers. Despite them leaving with 6 people in the quest, none of them had perished. Although, I am saddened that we have lost a camper to the hunters. Groans were heard from the rest of the campers. Chiron took a deep breath. He didn't know how to tell this next bit of news to the group, especially since Bianca was among the ones present. I hate to spoil the mood, but it is high time that you know about this. Chiron began silencing the groans and chatters. Nico D'Angelo has gone missing. Chapter 26, the final chapter of Book 3. Chiron's campers were back. It was time for them to party, supposedly. Though there was a heaviness in the air, and the party in the quest could feel it. None of the other cabin counselors seemed to be in the partying mood. This puzzled Naruto and the others. They wanted some answers. They sat around the ping-pong table in the rec room, and their activities director stood at the head to greet them. Kakashi was behind him, but he seemed to be coming back from an expedition just like them. That added to the growing number of questions that were growing in their heads. Everyone join me in welcoming back our questers. Despite them leaving with 6 people in the quest, none of them had perished. Although, I am saddened that we have lost a camper to the hunters. Chiron greeted them, followed by half-hearted applause from the others. The centaur took a deep breath. He had to bring this out sometime, and there was no better time than the present. However, I would hate to spoil the mood in the room, but it is high time for you to know about this. What's wrong, Chiron? Annabeth asked, sensing the impending bad news. Nico D'Angelo has gone missing, Chiron said. What? Bianca stood from her chair. What are you talking about? Naruto chuckled nervously. This is no time to be joking, Chiron. He must be in the Hermes cabin right now. Sorry to break it to you, Naruto, but Nico really is missing, Kakashi stated. In fact, I had just returned from a little quest of my own to try and track him down. Bianca looked up hopefully. What did you find? I'm sorry, my girl. Kakashi looked down. The only trace of his presence I was able to find was from the crack in the ground in the middle of the camp. The young demigod fell to her knees. Why, Nico? I was coming home. Naruto knelt next to her. There, everything will be fine. We will find him, don't worry. Bianca gripped the figurine to her chest, a gift for her brother that she never got the chance to give to him. Tears streamed down her face. The only solace he could find was the comforting hand of the blonde trying to get her to calm down. How far have you searched? Naruto asked his old sensei. Only within the city, Kakashi answered. But that is the least of our worries. Monsters have begun to mobilize even. I fear the war is coming closer than we think. But why? Percy asked. Luke, their leader, is still somewhere in the shadows lurking somewhere. After all, we all know he survived the last fight. And even if he still died, we still have 2 years before the whole prophecy thing. For the first time since Naruto and Percy got to camp, they could see Chiron's age catching up with him. I mean, he really was old, ancient even, but usually, he didn't look like it. 2 years would seem to be a long time, Percy, but it is only a blink of an eye, especially to immortals like the Time Lord, he said. Personally, I do not wish for you to be the child of prophecy, but if you are, then his first strike would be here. That makes sense, right? Percy said. Mount Olympus is here in New York. That's not what he meant, Percy. Annabeth shook her head. He meant here at camp specifically. Bianca finally raised her head. She had heard everything, and now she was learning that there would be an attack at camp. This was their new home now, Nico and she. Where would her brother come home if ever she decides to come back? Why? She asked. Why would he attack here? She's right, Percy added. Why would he care about us measly humans? Think about it, Percy, Naruto said. In all the stories of Greek mythology, all the wills of the gods were executed by demigods. The will of the gods is only as powerful as the tools they use. Am I right, Chiron? I am afraid Naruto has a point. Chiron nodded. Like it or not, you demigods are tools that the gods use. If you destroy the tools, then the gods will be crippled. As much as I hate to say it, Luke and Kronos' army would strike here, demigod, monster, mortal, titan, all of them. What Clarice found out in her own quest may give us a clue on where their army would arrive, so we must prepare. Do you think we would stand a chance? Percy asked. We won't know until we try, right? Naruto said. We have to succeed. I am sorry to lump this to you all, especially to the newcomers, Chiron said. For now, congratulations again to the successful questers. Let us turn in for now and have a good night's rest. In the middle of Camp Nico's crack and the Ground, Bianca stood on the ground staring at the crack. She didn't know Nico could do these things. They were new to this. They didn't even know who their father was. Come on, Bianca! Connor Stoll, her cabin counselor, persuaded her to return to their cabin. It's almost time for curfew. The harpies will be out soon. I'll be here a while, Bianca said. Thank guys, we'll take it from here, boys, Naruto said. We'll talk to her, Percy added. Hey, I said I'll handle it, Percy argued. We can do it together, you know, Naruto argued back. Okay, don't take too long, Travis told the two. So, hey Bianca. Naruto didn't know how to start this conversation. I take it you're not taking the news of Nico's disappearance pretty well. Hey Naruto, Percy, Bianca greeted the two. I don't know what to feel. You know, when I almost died in the desert, the first thing that came to my mind was Nico. I am the only family that he has, And if he felt the same way I did when you were the one going under, then he would have felt mine too. Personally, I don't know any demigod that has that ability. Percy scratched the back of his head. To be fair, though, we're somewhat new to this. Say, do you have any idea who your godly parent is? Naruto continued the conversation. Bianca shook her head. All my life, I had lived with my mother. That's all I can remember for some reason. Though, for some reason, I was drawn to this figurine when we were in the junkyard. It was a quiet night. All the demigods could hear were the critters that normally ruled the night. To add to that, they were at camp. The camp's barriers were supposed to protect them from monsters that lurked in the outside world. So, you would forgive them if they let their guard down. They were so engrossed in their conversation that they missed the out-of-place sound that blended in the sounds of the night. A skeleton's teeth chattered in the cold dark of the night as the hunter stalked through the campgrounds looking for its prey. Naruto's senses went haywire as he detected the same presence that followed them throughout the whole United States. He whirled around almost too late, only to see the barrel of a gun pointed straight at them. Get down! Bianca pushed the two boys out of the way. Before the skeleton could take aim again, she rushed it with her hunting knife and stabbed it, causing it to break down lifelessly to the ground. Whoa! Percy gawked at the pile of bones scattered around them. You got it. Don't let your guard down, Naruto said. It will reform eventually, get ready. No, it's okay, Bianca corrected. It's down for good this time. Naruto sighed in relief. How did that thing get here? They were ordered to hunt us down wherever in the world we might be, Percy answered. They are as relentless as bloodhounds. So, should we expect more of them? Naruto asked. I don't sense them anymore, Bianca answered. I think that was the last of them. Say, I think I know why you were drawn to the figurine, Percy said as he sat on the ground. The other two demigods stared at the little figure of the god that sat conveniently on the crack on the ground. Naruto and Percy had met quite a lot of gods in their times of questing, including this latest quest where they saw all 12 Olympian gods and quite a lot of minor gods, so they were familiar with the pantheon. Hey Naruto, Percy said. Didn't you say you were drawn to a statue of Artemis that was in that museum where Mrs. Dodds attacked us? You don't say. Naruto seemed intrigued by Percy's point. Bianca, don't freak. I think we found out who your dad is. My dad? Bianca asked, still shocked. Yes. Both boys nodded. The power over the dead, Percy said. Now that we got a chance to think it through, it all makes sense now. He's right. The only figurine that Nico didn't have. It was like that fact was purposefully hidden from you, Naruto explained as he looked at the statuette. Your father is Hades, the god of the underworld. The next day, it was certainly shocking news to learn of Bianca's heritage. It was known to everyone that there was this oath made by the Big Three. Bianca and Nico's existence meant that even Hades had broken his oath. That was what Annabeth and Chiron initially thought. Though Naruto cleared things up. He explained that Nico and Bianca were not born when the oath was in effect. Bianca told them about the lawyer who picked them up and brought them to the Lotus Hotel. It was also this same lawyer who brought them out one day and enrolled them in Westover Hall. The two breathed a sigh of relief when they learned of this. Contrary to popular belief, Hades was the only one who had kept his oath. From the reputation that was shoved to him by getting the short end of the stick, you would think that he would be the first one to break it. But who do you think was the first to forget what he promised? Of course, the sole reason for most if not all of Greek mythology, Zeus. But I digress. I've strayed from the story once again. Yeah? Bianca had finished explaining everything to the centaur. If he was shaken by the news, he hid it well. Is that so? Chiron said after hearing the whole story of what happened last night. This is bad. That means there are more players in the prophecy. The Titan Lord will surely work to get either one of you in his hands. Don't worry, Bianca. Naruto patted the daughter of Hades on her shoulder. Just like I told Talia, I will make sure that he won't get close to you. Together, we can make up for each of our shortcomings. I appreciate that, Naruto, but it's Nico I'm worried about, Bianca said. If he's all alone, he might join Luke's side or worse, get eaten by monsters. Frankly, my girl, it's better that he gets eaten than join the Titan army. Chiron shook his head. Chiron! The kids gasped at what their activities director said. That's Bianca's brother we're talking about. Bianca was left shocked at his words. Annabeth immediately moved to comfort her. Naruto and Percy were now questioning if it was a good idea to tell him in the first place. I am sorry, child. Chiron apologized. We will do everything in our power to prevent either of those worst-case scenarios from happening. What about the attack here? Percy said, changing the bleak subject into another one for the sake of the girl. Will Kronos really strike here? Yes, Chiron said. But it will not be until the summer. Luke will need to prepare and recover. And don't forget the fact that he will need to find a way to get past the barriers, Naruto added. Then, all the more reason for us to prepare as well, Percy suggested. Still, will Nico and I still count as the ones in the prophecy? Bianca asked. The prophecy doesn't specify, but you could be the one, Chiron said. Don't worry, Percy spoke up. I choose the prophecy. It will be about me. Later. So Naruto, Annabeth called as soon as they left the big house. I called my dad a while back, and I told him I'd try living with them in San Francisco. That's great, Naruto said in glee. Your stepmom said that you always have a home with them, even though the place has a bad reputation for us. Yeah, I could keep an eye on Mount Tam. She then paused and looked away with a tinge of pink in her cheeks. And I was thinking maybe you could come by again and celebrate Christmas with us. Cool, can I come? Percy chimed upon hearing what she said. Annabeth jumped at the boy's sudden outburst. Ugh, Percy. I was clearly asking Naruto. Thanks for the invite, Annie, but I would have to decline, Naruto politely said. I promised Mom that I would spend my Christmas there. Annabeth's face faltered but quickly recovered. That's okay, but you promised to come to visit me after New Year? I believe I can do that, Naruto said, getting into a thinking pose. And I know a good place we can go. What about a trip to Hoover Dam? Annabeth's eyes sparkled. That would be awesome. You really know how to make me happy. Only cause you to love architecture so much, Naruto answered. Not to mention, you talk about it a lot, Percy added. Hey, she protested. Do I really? Naruto and Percy looked at her with neutral expressions. Well, yes. Yes, you do. Annabeth chuckled nervously. Well, how can I not? It's my dream after all. The three shared a laugh. Naruto! Percy! Grover's voice came calling out to them. They turned to see him running towards them. He was so excited to tell them something that he stumbled over a tin can. That didn't stop him, though. He immediately got up on his feet and continued on his way. The satyr stopped him between the three demigods, panting heavily. He looked a little worse for wear. His face was haggard and pale. He almost looked like a ghost. Whoa, Grover, Naruto said, calming his friend down. What's the hurry? He spoke to me. It's really him. He stammered out his words. What are you talking about, buddy? Percy tried to clarify. The satyr wasn't making any sense. What happened? I was playing music in the parlor and drinking coffee when Pen spoke to my mind. Grover narrated. I have to get ready. I need a suitcase. Wait. Annabeth stopped the hyperactive satyr. What did he say? Just 3 words. He said. I await you. Chapter 1, Book 4, Interruption. Welcome to this game's halftime show. Today's showcase will be a 3-point shootout from none other than the audience. Who will be our lucky contestants? No one would think that there was anyone different sitting in the stands of Madison Square Garden, but unbeknownst to them, there are a couple of demigods watching the game. Though there were some wild viewers in wheelchairs. I don't know how they can have so much energy, but yeah. What did you say? Are demigods even real? Of course, they are. As I said earlier, modern demigods are just like your everyday humans. They blend in with the crowd unnoticed, but if you really look into it, you will notice their key characteristics. These kids are often labeled as troublemakers in school. They often have ADHD and dyslexia, while others just have mild traits like lactose intolerance. Why haven't you noticed? Well, as I said, they are just like your normal everyday guys and gals. They want a normal life just as much as you do, but they often don't get the luxury. Sometimes monsters find them and cause chaos wherever they are. Yes, they are real too, and the reason you can't see them is because of your poor mortal eyes. Anyway, when the monsters wreak havoc, the damage is often blamed on them, hence being labeled troublemakers. Some get lucky and get found by satyrs deployed in various schools, while the unlucky get eaten. That's the life of a demigod, just like the 2 kids I mentioned earlier. Enough of the introduction. We now do what we came here to do, tell their story. We begin the story as the two were watching a game of NBA basketball. These two were Naruto and Annabeth. Naruto is a golden blonde-haired boy and blue eyes. He also had trademark whisker marks on his cheeks. I know I said demigods blending in, but he might be the exception. He loves wearing orange like he was announcing his presence. So much for being a ninja. Oh, did I forget to mention, he's not exactly from here? To much of everyone's surprise, he is the only son of Artemis. No, the virgin goddess didn't break her oath. Long story short, Naruto has the godly essence of the goddess inside of him due to a misunderstanding when he was still in the womb, and he was later on taken in by the goddess after some complications in his home village. On the other hand, Annabeth is also a honey blonde girl that looks like a princess, and Naruto always made sure to treat her that way, much to her delight. She looked like your typical California girl, and she is now after she moved to San Francisco with her family. Although that image was ruined by the stormy gray eyes she got from her mother that seemed to look at you with a cold and calculating gaze. She is a daughter of Athena. No, she didn't break her oath either. Annabeth is, you could say, a brainchild. Anyway, the two demigods were here much to the insistence of the boy. The girl relented in the end since they had been doing what she wanted almost the whole month. They went to the Smithsonian, Hoover Dam, you know, the educational stuff. Hey, you would be perfect for this event, Annabeth told her companion. Wouldn't that give me an unfair advantage? Naruto answered. That's why I said you would be perfect, Annabeth argued, and as she did, the boy appeared on the big screen hanging on the ceiling. Hey, that's perfect. Go on, Naruto. The whiskered blonde chuckled nervously. Annabeth, should I really? I want to stay here with you. The gray-eyed girl blushed, but she held her composure in the end. Go on. It's not like they know. The boys sighed and stood up, earning the cheers of their fellow viewers. Naruto stepped on the court, hands in his pocket. He didn't want to do this, but he couldn't refuse Annabeth, can he? So there he was standing on the court with 8 other contestants. Some of them look like your typical jocks, while others look like your typical middle-aged sports enthusiast. Man, their selection process is too random. The announcer came over and made them draw lots. Unfortunately, Taichi wasn't on his side as he drew dead last. Well, no matter, he was, let's say, blessed in the other department. The contest was now on the way. The overconfident jocks basically embarrassed themselves as they were probably overrun by stage fright. Heck, even the middle-aged guys did better than them. Naruto could tell, though, that one of the younger guys had experience, as he was able to get most of his shots in. When it came to Naruto's turn, the jocks gave him a look that said, "Who the hell is this guy?" As I said, he was unassuming, except for the orange that he wears. As his turn came, those looks they gave him basically evaporated. Everyone's jaws hang open, except for Annabeth, of course. This doesn't surprise her anymore. Watching Naruto play with the kids of Apollo really made feats like this an everyday occurrence. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe it! The announcer screamed into his mic. I don't believe in what I'm seeing. All the shots sank, without even touching the board. It's a world record if I have ever seen one. Naruto tried to wave off the applause, but the MC grabbed him and began interviewing him. Hey kid, what's your name? He asked. It's Naruto. The boy answered, knowing what was to come when he said his name. Isn't that a ramen topping? The announcer asked, earning the Naruto gave him an unimpressed laugh. Yeah, I get that a lot. The announcer cleared his throat to clear the awkwardness in the air. So, Naruto, how did you pull that off? Not even the professionals could do that. Practice every day, Naruto said. How long a day do you practice? Was the follow-up question. Basically the whole day, he continued. Sheesh, that is what I call work ethic. You keep that up and I'll probably be interviewing you here as a player. Anyway, congratulations, my good sir. Please take this gift bag and shirt from our sponsor Mountain Dew. Another round of applause for contestants, everybody. That was great. Annabeth praised as Naruto got up from his seat. You're just as good as them. I'm probably better, Naruto said smugly. Their conversation continued as the dancers came out into the court. They had all smiles on their faces as they danced to the beat that played on the speakers. While some of them danced, the others shot out t-shirts from a mini cannon that they brought out with them. During the number, Naruto and Annabeth didn't expect a dancer to lean in between them, startling the two. I was watching you, the dancer said enthusiastically. I have to say, that is some shooting you got there. Thanks, I guess. Naruto said sheepishly, much to the dismay of his companion. What are you doing here? Annabeth asked, not trying to hide her irritation at all. That's fine. The boss won't mind. The dancer waved her off. I just came to see our little superstar over here. Hey, I wouldn't go that far, Naruto said. Anyway, what did you want with us? Annabeth asked. Oh, nothing, she said. Just making sure you don't miss your orientation. That sent a chill up Naruto's spine. Yeah, sure, he was supposed to attend an orientation today, but he had that covered already. And how the hell did this complete stranger know about that? Unless… I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto said in a serious tone. Oh, don't play dumb with me, the dancer said playfully. Shouldn't you be joining your brother at good? More red flags popped up. That possibility was getting more and more plausible, and even Annabeth was picking it up. And to add to that, memories of a pop clone had appeared in his mind. It seemed that Percy really was in trouble at the high school. This is bad. They really had to get out of this place soon. Annie, we need to go, Naruto said, standing up abruptly. Annabeth followed suit as she understood the situation. Yeah, I almost forgot about the reservation at that restaurant. If you'll excuse us, Naruto said as they exited the stadium. Outside. I have a bad feeling about this, Naruto said as they walked briskly outside to get to the subway. Tell me about it, Annabeth answered. Can't we catch a break just this once? There will be no breaks for you. The dancer's voice echoed throughout the hollow tunnel. Surprisingly, there was no one around them despite how busy the station should have been. Who are you? Naruto asked. What do you want from us? I'm Brittany, the dancer introduced herself. And didn't you forget, silly? It's time for your orientation. We should get on a train now, Annabeth told the boy. Oh, what makes you think that the trains would be running, little miss? The now named Brittany taunted. As much as I hate to say this, but we'll have to fight our way out of here, Naruto stated. Get your cap on, I'll hold her off. Oh, you're a feisty one. Brittany licked her lips. I will enjoy sucking you dry after I tear you limb from limb. We'll see about that. Naruto drew his kunai. Annabeth, go! Whatever this monster was, it was surprisingly nimble. It was able to avoid the slashes from his blade. Getting frustrated, he tried sending punches and kicks towards the dancer, but he was right. She was a cut above the rest of the monsters he had fought in the past. In one moment, both their feet clashed in the air, and Naruto screamed in pain as he hit something unexpectedly hard. Ow! He yelled. What is your leg made of? It's like it's dash. There's no need to go there, Naruto Uzumaki. Brittany interrupted him. Don't you know it's rude to point out other people's flaws? I know that. Naruto gave him a flat look. We both know that you're not a person. How perceptive of you. The dancer laughed. Then I don't think we need this anymore, she screeched. Her body began to morph right before Naruto's eyes. Her skin turned completely white, and her eyes turned bloodshot red. Her hair burst into flames that curled in a serpentine-like fashion. She kept her original dancer outfit, but her legs were different. One of them was made of pure bronze, while the other reminded him of Grover's hooves. No shit! Naruto's eyes widened. You're a vampire! The monster shook her head. Not quite, Naruto Uzumaki. I am an Empauzai, a servant of the goddess Hecate. We are formed by dark magic from animal, bronze, and ghost. We exist to feed on half-bloods just like you. Did you say Gigi Ghost? Naruto froze. He can deal with any other monster in this world, but ghosts? Nah. Not a damn chance. It's the only thing he couldn't beat up to a pulp. Oh, don't be scared, young half-blood, the Empauzai said. Now, pucker up and give me a kiss. Naruto couldn't move. He was frozen by his childhood fear. He hated himself at that moment. He could stand in the presence of Orochimaru's killing intent, but knowing this monster was a part ghost was different. How the hell he survived the underworld is beyond me. Anyway, Brittany stalked his newfound prey. She had decided to take her time since the boy wasn't going anywhere anymore. She took her sweet time getting to him. When she was within arm's reach, she grabbed Naruto's by the cheeks and pulled his face close to her own, their lips dangerously close from touching. I suggest you enjoy this little kiss, Brittany said, because it is going to be your last. As the Empauzai brought Naruto's lips to her own, she felt a searing pain from behind her. She looked down to see the tip of a bronze dagger jutting from her stomach. "The girl," she said, then she screeched as she broke down into a sulfurous powder. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw Annabeth in front of her taking off her cap of invisibility. "Annabeth," he said. "You're a lifesaver." "Am I?" she huffed. "Or were you actually enjoying yourself here?" "No, no, no!" Naruto shook his head vehemently. "She's part ghost, you know. Ghosts are scary." "Right, keep telling yourself that," Annabeth said sarcastically. Naruto sighed. "Look, I'll make it up to you later. Right now, we have to get to Percy. He's in the same situation as we are." "But how?" Annabeth asked. "The trains aren't running." "I know, you'll have to trust me," Naruto said hastily. "What are you KYH? Outside of good high school. Put me down! Put me down! Put me down!" Annabeth's raspy voice wheezed as Naruto's full sprint started slowing down. She had been screaming for the past 30 minutes or so since Naruto had been running at full speed atop the buildings. All right, sheesh," Naruto said, complying with the daughter of Athena's wishes. Once her feet were on solid ground, she staggered for a second before socking Naruto in the arm. "Ow!" the shinobi screamed. "Warn me next time!" Annabeth scolded the blonde. "Why?" Naruto gave her a flat look. "I thought you were scared of spiders, not heights. Besides, would you have agreed if I told you?" Annabeth raised her fist to punch him again, but Naruto profusely apologized. Okay. I'm sorry. Fine," Annabeth said, hunched over trying to catch her breath. "You better hurry then. I'll stay here to catch my breath." Okay. Naruto nodded, and raised his hand in a half-rammed seal, causing him to disappear in a golden flash. Good high school band ROM Naruto shimmered into existence inside the room, startling the two people and the monster in the room. Naruto Uzumaki," the Impausa greeted. "You managed to avoid my colleague Brittany. Would you prefer me to do your orientation?" "And not happening, monster!" the blonde yelled in response, though he still seemed shaken by the part ghost thing. "Leave us or I'll cut you down where you stand." Before Kelly could answer, the sound of chattering could be heard coming towards the door. The orientation from the auditorium must have finished, and the tour group was tromping in their direction. "This is perfect." A smile grew on the Impausa's face. She picked up a tuba and threw it towards Percy and his crew. Picking up what the monster wanted to happen, Naruto launched himself at the instrument and caught it. But it was too late. The tour group had heard the commotion. The chattering stopped, and the door was about to open. "Time to greet our visitors." The vampire thingy bared her fangs and ran for the door. Although she didn't anticipate Naruto's speed. With a flick of his wrist, he flung a kunai towards the monster, and she evaporated into a sulphurous powder. Looking around at the scene, it didn't look too good for them. So, with the limited time that they had, Naruto cast an illusion in the room. He placed a hand on each of his companions in the band room, and they disappeared in a golden flash, leaving Paul Blofeld and his tour group to watch the fabricated events unfold. Outside, with An and Abth, Annabeth had just about recovered from her death-defying leaps up the New York City skyscrapers when her soul almost left her body as Naruto and two other people suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Once they landed, the redhead immediately keeled over and disgorged the contents of her stomach on the pavement. "By now you should be used to me suddenly popping up like that," Naruto said, as he moved to check on the girl. Who would ever be used to someone appearing out of nowhere like that without so much as a squeak? Annabeth gave Naruto a flat look. Naruto didn't even get to retort as the other guy in the group went on a rant. "Okay, what was that? How did we get out of here? And why do I feel like my insides are trying to get out?" the girl asked without giving anyone much of a chance to answer. "Oh, Red. It's you," Naruto said flatly. "Really? That's it? You haven't seen me in 6 months, and that's how you're going to greet me?" Red said. "You two still owe me an explanation. And my name's Rachel. Who's this girl supposed to be?" Annabeth frowned. "That's Red," Naruto answered. "We met her at the Hoover Dam. Percy almost killed her." "My name's Rachel. I didn't try to kill her." Percy and Rachel both protested at Naruto's almost half-assed explanation. Then, Rachel turned to Annabeth and introduced herself. "Anyway, as I said, I'm Rachel Elizabeth Dare, and you three owe me an explanation after almost getting killed." "Look, Rachel," Percy began. We had just been attacked in broad daylight, and I fear there will be more, so we have to get to safety. So can we tell you about it next time? Rachel sighed. All right, but don't you forget. But how will we get in touch with you? Naruto asked. The freckled teen thought for a moment. Here, she said, whipping up a permanent marker to write her phone number on Percy's arm. Remember, you owe me, she said, walking back to school to probably fix the mess. When she was gone, Annabeth looked at the two boys and yelled, You told a mortal about us. Not me. Naruto shook his head. We barely told her anything back at Hoover Dam. Annabeth then shifted her gaze to Percy. Naruto was now off the hook. Hey! She could already see through the mist. Percy defended himself. I couldn't lie to her. But why did you tell her the truth? Was Annabeth's follow-up question. She recognized me from the dam. He didn't really answer the question. But that's not important now, you were right. Their target is Camp Half-Blood. Then, what are we waiting for? Naruto said. Let's get to camp. Annabeth nodded. Yes, but we are taking a taxi this time. Hey! I said I was sorry. Naruto said. What's going on? What did I miss? Percy asked, but he was being ignored. Naruto was trying to appease the daughter of Athena, while Annabeth walked to go hail a taxi. Guys? Camp Half-Blood. It was a long taxi ride to get from Percy's high school to their summer camp. What made it longer was the seaweed brain asking Annabeth a stupid question. He made the mistake of asking her about Luke Castellan, the girl's childhood friend. That was obviously a sore subject for the daughter of Athena, as she still hasn't come to terms with the older demigod's betrayal. Maybe it was the fact that she had a silly childhood crush on the son of Hermes, but one thing's for certain, that boy is still alive somewhere, biding his time in his monster-infested ship and plotting an attack on the camp. Mount Tam is still overrun by monsters, she finally said after clamping her mouth for almost the whole ride. Naruto nodded. No doubt he's somewhere up there recovering from that nasty fall. Any word on Grover? Percy asked. He's at camp, Annabeth answered. I'm surprised he came home early, Naruto said. I was expecting him to stay on his quest longer on his quest. Does that mean he found something, or did he? Percy wondered aloud. He knew that this was his best friend's dream. He didn't want to see him sulk in the corner if he failed on his goal. We'll see him later, Naruto said. It's better you see it for yourself. That didn't make Percy feel better. If anything, it confirmed his suspicions that something went wrong on his quest. He hoped it wasn't anything too serious. After that, their ride home was quiet, save for the small tune that the driver was playing on his radio. Naruto looked out the window, watching the scenery of the fading city behind them. They began picking up speed as soon as they rolled off in the countryside. Percy, on the other hand, was staring at the phone number that was written on his hand. He mentally cursed himself for not telling Rachel that phones were bad news for demigods like him, but given the situation they were in, he never got the chance. Their taxi exited the main road on Route 25A. The vehicle traversed the woods until they reached a low ridge of hills. They pulled up at Farm Road 3:141, the base of Half-Blood Hill, and their destination. Though the driver was skeptical at letting them off in the middle of nowhere, but he didn't question it further. Let's be honest, this isn't the worst thing he encountered in his life as a cab driver. Upon trekking into the main area of Camp Half-Blood, they were greeted by their resident guard dragon. You know, it's funny, a year ago or so, he was just small enough to sleep on one of the higher branches, but now he grew so big, so fast, that he has to stay at the base of Talia's pine. The dragon raised his coppery head as soon as he picked up the scents the trio walk up to him. Hey, Peleus, Annabeth said, scratching the fire-breathing lizard under his chin. Everything's safe, I hope. Steam hissed out of his nostrils as she did that, and his eyes went cross-eyed from the pleasure. Percy scanned the camp. Everything seemed in order. The magical borders were up and running. The golden fleece rested on the lowest branch of Talia's pine. The camp looked peaceful save for the campers milling about in the summer session. The strawberry fields looked as alive as ever. And finally, the Long Island Sound glittered under the sunlight. Despite that, there was something heavy in the atmosphere. There was palpable tension, as if the whole place itself was waiting for something to happen. Percy just shrugged and followed his two companions walk down into the valley. The summer session was indeed full swing. Satyrs played their pipes as they worked in the strawberry fields along with the children of Demeter. Smoke rose from the forges as kids of Hephaestus hammered away on their arts and crafts projects. Pegasi swooped by, carrying the campers having horseback lessons. Annabeth's siblings raced against a pair from the Demeter cabin, and a trireme carried some kids who were fighting an orange sea serpent. Yes, it was a familiar feeling to them. They were back home. I need to talk to Clarice, the girl said. Percy snapped his head at the girl. Say what? He wasn't sure if he heard it right. Clarice was the resident bully, and she and Annabeth didn't see eye to eye, so it was weird that the daughter of Athena was looking for her now. They're working on something, Naruto said. Although, they're being secretive about it. Can't you at least tell us? Percy asked. I'll tell you later, I promise, she said, turning around to run off in a direction. She stopped momentarily and turned to the two, remembering to tell them something. I'll tell Chiron we made it back. He'll want to talk to Percy before the hearing. Hearing? Percy asked. What hearing? She didn't answer. She just turned back around and dashed towards the archery range without turning back. Great, don't tell me anything, why don't you? Percy grumbled. He turned to his other companion. Do you know what's happening? Or at least about the hearing? It's about Grover, Naruto answered. He hasn't found any evidence since we came back last Christmas. They're about to revoke his searcher's license. Chapter 2, The Trial. Say what now? Percy asked. He wasn't sure if he heard the blonde right. Did he just say Grover was about to lose his searcher's license? You heard correctly. Naruto looked towards the woods with a serious expression on his face. But they can't do that. Percy raised his voice. Actually, they can, Naruto said matter-of-factly. They're the ones who gave it to him in the first place. Guh. Percy growled and trudged towards the forest. Whoa, where are you going? Naruto got in the way of the son of Poseidon. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind, Percy answered. That's not a good idea. Naruto shook his head. You might say something that would upset the council. Besides, Annabeth said we'll get to watch the trial, so why don't we go for a walk for a while? You miss camp, don't ya? Percy sighed. Naruto was right. As much as he liked staying with his mother in Manhattan, Camp Half-Blood grew a special place in his heart. After all that he's been through here, how could he not? In the end, he decided not to continue and instead walk around the summer camp to see the new and familiar faces. Fine, where do you want to go first? Percy asked. Actually, I gotta go too. Naruto waved goodbye to his friend. Where are we going? Gotta go talk to Kakashi-sensei. With that, Naruto was gone, leaving Percy to wander through the camp on his own. Training Fields Kakashi sighed as he dodged an attack from one of the kids. These kids were quite good at fighting, especially the Aries kids, but they still had a long way to go when it comes to their teamwork. There was no animosity among them, but there was always this competitiveness in them, especially when it comes to those from different cabins. Funny story about that one, he tried giving the bell test to these brash kids, and he was right about one thing. They repeated the actions of the previous genin who had undergone the test. When given a goal where only one individual would prevail, things turned into a competition. They were pit against each other. What did you expect? It reached the point where instead of attacking the jonin, the demigods focused on sabotaging each other. Heck, he didn't even need to lay down any traps. The kids basically did it for him. Well, the Hephaestus kids did anyway. That whole incident prompted him to focus on team-building exercises. He was broken out of his thoughts when he heard an all-too-familiar voice. The sudden distraction almost. Kakashi-sensei! Naruto's voice called out. His old student may be mature, but his old boisterous self comes out sometimes. Back again, are we, Naruto? Kakashi gave his famous eye smile to the blonde demigod. How was your date? What are you talking about, Kakashi-sensei? That wasn't a date, was it? Naruto sputtered out, getting a little red in the process. I don't know. Was it? Kakashi teased further. Naruto cleared his throat, calming himself. Hardly a date, Naruto said, trying to keep as professional as possible. Some impausa attacked and ruined our day. I'm sorry to hear that, the silver-haired jonin said. So, anyway, what can I do for you? I can't imagine this being a regular visit. Nothing gets past you, huh, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto shook his head. I was just here to ask how the search for Nico was going. I'm sorry, Naruto, Kakashi said, looking sad at the news he was giving his student. His trail had gone cold. It's like he's not even here anymore. Well, thanks for trying, I guess. Naruto sighed. He feared this would be his answer. He was part of a very small list of campers who were sent out to look for Nico. They had combed through almost the whole of the US. Well, technically, he and Kakashi did most of the work, sending hordes of clones around the whole country looking for the lost boy. That's two shinobi for you. Normal rules for the average human don't work on you, but he should have known that. He was part of the hunting party, and they found nothing. He may be a son of Artemis, but Kakashi is better at tracking than he was, and even his trail had gone cold. He didn't even know why he had to ask his sensei. Maybe he was expecting a different answer. And those were the least of their worries. War was definitely inevitable, and things weren't looking good for the camp. That was what this training was for, to prepare the demigods the best they could. So, how are they doing? Naruto asked, desperate to change the subject. They're far from ready, Kakashi answered. I'm afraid if I push them any harder, some might get injured. Let's be honest, they're not as durable as shinobi are. You could try, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said. These demigods might surprise you with their resilience. He then took off his shirt, revealing a well-developed set of muscles protected by fishnet armor. This earned the looks of quite a lot of the demigods, especially those of the female population. Actually, I kind of miss your training, sensei, and training by myself is getting kind of lonely. So, you want to join in with them? Kakashi smirked under his mask. Being an old student of mine doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. Naruto returned the smirk. He knew his sensei was sporting. I wouldn't have it any other way. Later Naruto walked through the camp, having finished his training with his sensei. True to his words, Kakashi had upped the intensity of his training, much to the disappointment of the other campers. And true to Naruto's words, they were able to keep us, albeit a little exhausted. He sighed contentedly. He hadn't had training like that in a long time, and having someone to suffer through the training was definitely a good change of pace. Hey, Naruto! A girl's voice greeted him. You seem to be happy. Did you enjoy your date? What are you talking about? That wasn't a date. Naruto sputtered out without even checking who said that. He focused on the owner of the voice and brightened when he saw Bianca, cheerfully walking towards him. It was Bianca D'Angelo. Come on, Naruto. It's what everyone was talking about at camp. Everyone? At camp? Naruto said, dumbfounded. He always came to camp for a visit in between some time to join the hunting parties looking for Nico while juggling school and helping Percy to apply it good. But why didn't he hear anything at all? What are they talking about? Bianca thought for a moment, but she spotted Chiron trotting with Percy riding on his back. Don't you have a super important trial you're going to attend? Bianca said. That's right. Naruto gasped in realization. Grover's trial. Let's go. Bianca sighed under her breath. She dodged a bullet on that one. She wasn't the one to explain it to the blonde. Naruto and Bianca had reached the site of Grover's trial just as Percy was getting off of Chiron. It was an odd site to hold a trial if you were human, of course. But if you were a satyr, it was perfect. It was just Grover standing in front of 3 topiary thrones shaped out of rose bushes, and sitting on the thrones were the fattest satyrs both had ever seen with sleepy expressions and glazed looks. It reminded the 2 boys of a petting zoo. Both Naruto and Percy always went into the woods to train and for capture the flag, but they had never been to this part of the woods before. He also had never seen the 3 fat satyrs Grover was talking to before, but they looked important, so he assumed that they were the Council of Cloven Elders. Their friend, on the other hand, hadn't changed a bit since they last saw him in the winter, but they noted that his acne flared up, and his horns stuck up off his curly hair. Nevertheless, it was the same old Grover they knew and loved. Naruto immediately waved when he saw Annabeth in the crowd. Percy was surprised. He still couldn't believe that Annabeth was working with Clarice. It was a sight you would not believe considering they don't get along very well, usually. Speaking of Annabeth, she currently had her arm around a girl who seemed familiar to Percy, but the boy couldn't quite place where he had seen her. The girl was small and petite, with wispy hair the color of amber, and a pretty elfish face. She was wearing a green chiton and sandals. Punk Uzumaki! Clarice greeted the 2 as they joined them. That meant the girl was in a good mood at the moment. It's going terribly! Juniper wailed into Annabeth's shoulder. What did we miss? What happened? Naruto asked. Nothing so far. They haven't given a verdict yet, Annabeth answered. But I'm sure everything is going to be fine, okay, Juniper? Master Underwood. The council member on the right spoke up, cutting off all conversation. You expect us to believe these outrageous claims of yours? But Silenus, Grover stammered out. It's true. The council goat who spoke up turned to his colleagues and muttered something. Chiron cantered off to the front of the three plump satyrs and stood next to them. The other two didn't look impressed and stared at Grover with distaste as Silenus spoke in a low voice. Silenus cleared his throat and adjusted his yellow polo that was threatening to explode from the belly it was trying to contain. Mr. Underwood, for 6 months, we have listened to your scandalous claims that you've heard the great god Pan speak. But I did. Impudence, said the fat goat on the left. Now, Marin, Chiron spoke, acting as the voice of reason. Patience. But the elder named Marin was having none of it. Patience? I've had it up to my horns with the nonsense you've been spouting. As if the god would speak to. He eyed Grover with disgust. To him. Juniper rose from Annabeth's shoulders and moved to charge at the orders, but Clarice held her back. Wrong fight, girlie, Clarice advised. Wait. For 6 months, Silenus continued. We have indulged you, Master Underwood. We let you keep your searcher's license. We allowed you to travel, to look for proof of your preposterous claims. And what have you found in your 6 months of travel? I just needed more time, Grover said, but he didn't get a chance to speak. Nothing. The satyr in the middle answered the question. You have found nothing. Grover tried to protest, even more, but Silenus raised his hand to stop him. Chiron leaned in and muttered something to the 3 satyrs. There was a small argument among the 3, but Chiron said something else and Silenus sighed while nodding reluctantly. Master Underwood, Silenus announced. We will give you one more chance. Grover brightened. Thank you. 1 more week. As fast as the bright expression came, it also left just as quickly. But sir, that's impossible. 1 more week, Mr. Underwood. And if you can't find any proof then, it is time for you to pursue another career. I suggest something to soothe your dramatic talents like puppet theater or perhaps tap dancing. But sir, I can't lose my license. Grover tried to reason. My whole life. Silenus didn't listen. He just clapped his hands signaling the end of the trial. This meeting is adjourned. Let us now enjoy our noonday meal. With another clap of his hands, a bunch of nymphs melted out of the trees carrying platters of fruits, vegetables, tin cans, and other goat delicacies. The circle broke, and Grover walked dejectedly to his friends. Well, that could have gone better, Naruto said, trying to lighten the mood. Don't even start, Naruto. Grover sent a small glare at Naruto and turned to Percy to greet him. Hey, Percy. Oh, Grover, Juniper said. Don't listen to them. Those old goats don't know how hard you've tried. She's right, Clarice added. What do they know if the fatsos sit around on their fat asses all day? Bianca gasped at the Ares cabin's counselor. Clarice, language. What? It's true. Clarice defended herself. Couldn't you have worded it nicer? Bianca said. Nicer? She glanced at the goats stuffing their mouths. No. Her voice and expression then turned dark. There is still that option if you're interested. Grover seemed to contemplate the idea, but Juniper jumped in. No, Grover. I won't let you. What choice do I have? Grover reasoned. 1 week is just too short. Traveling alone would take up that time. Do you even know how to find your way around? Countered the wood nymph. I'll think about it. Grover told the daughter of the war god. What's everyone talking about? Percy asked, not knowing what the 3 were talking about, but before anyone could answer him. Before anyone could answer, a conch horn blew in the distance. Inspection's up, Naruto said. We have to go. Why doesn't anyone tell me anything? Percy complained. We'll tell you later, Percy. We promise. Annabeth told him in an attempt to appease the son of Poseidon, but it didn't seem to work. What she said next, though, did the trick. Unless you want kitchen patrol duty after dinner. Percy's eyes widened. He almost forgot the state he left his cabin when he left to go back home to his mother after coming home from the quest. He will for sure be tied with the Hermes cabin at this rate. With that, he made a dash for his cabin. Commons area the cabins. 12 buildings, each dedicated to one of the 12 Olympian gods, were arranged in a U shape, just as the thrones on Olympus were arranged. Each of the cabins housed the children of the gods, except for the two head cabins and until 2 years ago, Cabin 8. Last year, Cabin 1 housed Talia Grace, the hero of Half-Blood Hill, who through some plotting from Kronos, was brought back to life by the power of the golden fleece that Clarice and company had brought back from Polyphemus Island. Now, after she joined the hunt and left camp, the cabin is once again empty and out of the inspection. Cabin 8, on the other hand, was mostly honorary and only served as lodging for the hunters of Artemis whenever they visited, which is a rare occurrence. That is until 2 years ago. Artemis, the virgin goddess of the hunt, took pity on a boy that was battered and beaten from a fight with his supposed best friend and accepted him as her own child. It wasn't just that. Through a series of events, the boy now shared her godly energy, making him like a true blood kin. Now, with the cabin occupied, it was now considered during the inspection. Anyway, now that the little history lesson/recap is over, we find our favorite blonde shinobi walking alongside Bianca. They were fresh out of Grover's trial, and they were on the way back to the cabins for inspection. "Sorry you have to do kitchen patrol every night," Naruto apologized to Bianca. "It's okay," the younger girl said. "It's not your fault. I feel like it is my fault for bringing you here and having you get stuck in the Hermes cabin." Naruto shook his head. "Well, what can you do?" Bianca shrugged. "It's not your fault that Dad doesn't have a cabin here. That just sucks," Naruto complained. It had been months since Naruto's small group had found out about Bianca and Nico's heritage. It was a shock at first, but looking at how Bianca defeated the skeleton warriors that chased them across the whole of America, even inside the camp, it all seemed to make sense. And despite knowing the truth, they kept it to themselves, knowing how the activities director would react. "Anyway, I'll see you at dinner," Naruto said as he waved goodbye to his friend as he stopped in front of his cabin. Bianca waved back to the blonde and continued her trek back to cabin 11. Just as soon as she left, Silena Beauregard turned from cabin 7, which was just across his own. She was nice, don't get me wrong, but she was a terror when it came to cabin inspections. She was an absolute neat freak and always required the cabins to be pretty. That would be a problem for Percy. "Hey, Naruto," Silena greeted the blonde as she batted her eyelashes. "I see you're back from your date. Why does everyone keep calling it that?" Naruto complained aloud. Silena giggled at the clueless blonde's reaction. "Only teasing. Now, shall we check your cabin?" Naruto grumbled something about misunderstandings under his breath and led Silena to the doorway. The inspector's eyes scanned the room and scrutinized every detail, screening the area for dust particles and any trash lying around. Before the girl could even ask, Naruto led the girl into the room and opened the door on the other side in order for her to inspect the inside of the room. It was as neat and tidy as the room outside. Silena marked something on her papyrus scroll and turned to the blonde. "As expected from you, Naruto," she said. "You never failed to amuse me with how clean your room is." "I aim to please," Naruto answered with a smug expression on his face. He then shifted to a thinking pose. "Say, if I may ask, how did Percy do in the inspection?" "Well, Percy cleaned up well today, surprisingly," Silena answered. "Oh really?" Naruto gave her an incredulous look. "That can't be true. Unless..." Naruto's face brightened and immediately waved at the inspector. "Gotta go. Bye." "Okay." Silena just shrugged and continued on her inspection. The blonde dashed over to cabin 3, the Poseidon cabin, excited to see the big lovable Cyclops. "Percy, Tyson," Naruto called out. "You there? Naruto?" Tyson's voice called back. Soon after, the door opened revealing Tyson. He looked the same as before. Right now, he was wearing ragged XXXL jeans and a tattered flannel shirt under a flower-patterned apron and rubber cleaning gloves on his hands. Upon seeing the blonde, the Cyclops immediately pounced at the blonde and wrapped him in a huge bear hug. A normal human's bone would have cracked at the pressure that the baby Cyclops was squeezing, but Naruto wasn't normal, even by shinobi standards, but he was getting smothered by Tyson's chest. Tyson," Naruto wheezed as the air was squeezed out of him. "Could you let up for a sec?" "Oh, sorry." Tyson released the blonde who was beginning to turn blue. "No biggie, you big guy." Naruto punched the big guy on the shoulder. "We missed you. When did you get back?" "Just now," Tyson answered. "Boss gave me time off." "So, you guys want to hang out?" Naruto asked. "Definitely." Both Percy and Tyson nodded. The boys spent the whole afternoon catching up. It was a nice change of pace after being attacked by vampires or something like that. They first went to the forges and helped Charles Beckendorf from the Hephaestus cabin in creating weapons for the camp. Well, Tyson mostly helped. It was amazing how great he had gotten at creating weapons. He made a flaming double-bladed axe so fast that even the cabin counselor was impressed. I guess that internship was doing wonders for him. He even tried to teach his two brothers how to create magic weapons, but it just wasn't for them. While they were working, the lovable Cyclops told him his life under the sea. The two demigods watched, his eyes lit up as he described the Cyclopes' forges and the palace of Poseidon, but the gleam died down when he spoke of how tense the situation was with the upcoming war. He told them of the old sea gods, the gods who ruled the seas before Poseidon usurped the throne. Apparently, they were starting to stir and challenge the sea gods' rule. At the time Tyson had left, battles were already starting to rage across the Atlantic Ocean. Don't get me wrong, the boys know that war is looming over them in the surface world, but both sides have not made a move yet. They were surprised that things were already heating up under the sea. In any case, Poseidon assured them that he wanted both his sons to stay at the camp. And hey, he didn't forget about Naruto. He also sent his regards to him. After their crafting session, Annabeth joined them at the canoe lake. Whatever her business with Clarice was taken care of, and she opted to join the boys. She had come a long way too. 2 years ago, she hated Tyson, but now, after a quest with the lovable oaf, she learned to accept him too. She was really glad to see Tyson too, but even as they spoke, the daughter of Athena seemed anxious. She kept stealing glances at the woods. Naruto and Percy knew what she was worried about, and they couldn't blame her. They haven't seen the satyr all day, but they understood why. They were witnesses to the satyr's experience. Well, the two boys were anyway. So, they couldn't believe that the council was threatening to take away his license. It was his lifelong dream. He carried on the dreams of his father and his uncle, who lost their lives looking for the lost god Pan. Losing it now would crush him. So, what's this other way that Grover could try? Percy finally had a chance to ask. It's what Clarice had been scouting out. I even helped her out in the spring. Annabeth gave out her answer. Percy scrunched his eyebrows. It was something he wanted answers for since this morning, but it wasn't what he expected. He got a vague answer. As much as I hate to say this, but even though it is Grover's one and only chance, it's too dangerous for him, Naruto said. Goat boy scares me, Tyson interjected. Why's that, big guy? Naruto chuckled. Tyson can stand down almost anything, man-eating Canadians, an older, meaner Cyclops, and fire-breathing bronze bulls, but a satyr scares him? That's a first. Hooves and horns, Tyson answered simply. And goat fur makes my nose itch. Believe me, bro, he's just as much as scared as you are of him, Naruto said, but Tyson didn't answer anymore, leaving the group in silence. To break the ice, Naruto began again. Hey, did you hear? We're getting a new war game tonight. Apparently, it's the new sword instructor's idea. Really? Do you think it has something to do with the crates in the sword arena? Percy's face brightened. He was excited. It wasn't that he was bored with the capture the flag, the scroll retrieval exercise, or the chariot races, but it was a nice change of pace to play a different game for a change. Maybe, Naruto said as he skipped a rock across the lake. In any case, I'm getting a bad feeling from that guy. Are you sure? Percy's raised his eyebrows on Naruto's claim. He seems okay to me. Not quite though, Naruto said. There's just something about that story that just isn't sitting right with me. Lighten up, Naruto. Annabeth clapped the boy on the shoulder. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he really is a son of Athena who reached old age. You sure you're not saying that 'cause he's your older sibling? Naruto joked. You sure you're not saying that 'cause you're scared to lose to in the new game tonight? Annabeth countered. Naruto lightened up and let out a light-hearted chuckle. Fine, but there's no way I'm losing to you in the games tonight. We'll see about that. Chapter 3: The New Game. It was another morning in Camp Half-Blood, way more than usual. Apparently, there was this Ethiopian draken that had been spotted at the camp's borders. Naruto, with his usual morning routine, was one of the first ones on the scene. Nothing untoward happened, thankfully, since the magical borders were stronger than ever. Percy, on the other hand, was only able to get the scoop on the news when he woke up. He was so exhausted from the day that he slept through the commotion. Despite being held from the camp by the boundaries, the monster was persistent. It prowled the hills looking for any chink in the defenses, any weakness that it can exploit to get to the day's meal. Lee Fletcher led a group consisting of Naruto and the others that drove the beast away from their camps. At first, the arrows just made it angrier, but a raisin gun that broke its hide made the message clear. 20 arrows and all we did was anger that thing, Lee said. Good thing Naruto was there or else we'd just be making it even angrier. Aye, and we should expect more attacks like this one, more and more frequently, the new sword instructor added. Even though there was good news, the campers were still anxious. Muttering broke out across the tables. It was no secret that the next target for the Titan Lord's army was their beloved camp. It was expected that the attack would come sometime in the summer, but no one knew any specifics. It was pitiful really, the numbers left at camp right now. There were 10 campers in all left, a far number from what Percy and Naruto witnessed in their first days at camp. Yes, there were ones who hailed from the elemental nations, but they had yet to return. Some had died in the brewing war, while others deserted to join Luke's side. Still, others had just disappeared without a trace. Fret not, everyone, Kakashi said with his signature eye smile, quelling the fears of the campers. This is the exact thing we are training for, Quintus nodded. Which is also why we will have a new war game tonight. The other campers didn't like the glint in the eyes of the new camp counselor. Only one other camper had glints in his eyes like this, and it usually didn't mean something good. Yes, that is enough of the announcements for this morning, Chiron added, as he picked up his own goblet. Let us bless this fine meal and eat. To the gods. As the custom around these parts, each demigod walked to the bronze brazier and offered a portion of their food to the gods. Everyone offered portions of their meals to their respective godly parent, except for Naruto. He offered a portion to his parent like everybody else and then some. He also offered a portion of his food to his patron god Hestia, goddess of the hearth. When everyone was back at their table, no one began to eat. All eyes were at the head table, specifically at a certain masked jonin who was about to take a bite of his food. Naruto shook his head. It was a common occurrence really. Every day, the campers would try their hardest to catch a glimpse of what was hidden underneath that mask. The female population, especially, wanted to see if their counselor was attractive or not. Even the males were intrigued at what he hid underneath the piece of cloth. Naruto knew better than to try and get a glimpse of his sensei's face. He tried it before with Sakura and Sasuke, and it failed miserably every single time. The campers stared intently, as the son of the White Fawn raised his hand to undo his mask. It was like time slowed down. Nobody dared to breathe nor blink, scared that they would miss whatever was hidden. Naruto just shook his head at the others' antics. He tried to dissuade them, but they were just persistent. The suspense was killing them. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an extremely loud satyr came out of the woods chasing a wood nymph. It was like a scene taken straight from a romantic comedy movie. The demigod's eyes were immediately torn from the head table to look at the new commotion. They watched as the satyr chased the dryad across the clearing, unable to catch the agile wood nymph. In the end, the scene ended as usual. The dryad turned into a tree, causing the satyr to bump into the bark that appeared out of nowhere, knocking him out cold. Everyone shook their heads at the interaction, but instantly remembered what they were trying so hard to see just moments earlier. Their head whipped back to the head table. To everyone's shock and chagrin, Kakashi was already finished eating, leaning back in his chair and patting his stomach. Ah! The masked jonin sighed contentedly. That was another fine meal. I have to remember to thank the dryads for the good food. He opened his eyes and noticed that the campers were staring at him with their mouths hanging open. What? Is there something on my face? He asked, patted the area around his mouth as if the food was stuck to it. Groans were expelled out of nowhere as they returned their focus to their own food in front of them. Naruto laughed internally at his fellow campers' reaction. He tried to warn them, but they still didn't listen. They had been at it for weeks without any luck. Naruto had given up on that long ago. His sensei was just always one step ahead of him. The shinobi was taken out of his thoughts when Annabeth grabbed him from his table. Wait, where are we going? Naruto protested. To Percy's table, she said, pointing at table 3. Naruto's gaze shifted to the said table and saw a dejected Grover sitting on the Poseidon table. He looked a little worse for wear and barely even touched his food. We're going to convince him now? Naruto's eyebrows raised. Yes, so get your ass up and come with me. Annabeth told him off. But my food, Naruto said. Annabeth sighed and let him go for a second. Go get it and follow me. Naruto and Annabeth soon slid on either side of Grover on the Poseidon table. Hey, you two are not supposed to be here, Percy said as soon as he saw the others. We need to talk about that, Annabeth insisted. But the rules, Percy said despite his curiosity about wanting to know what that is. Look, Percy, Naruto spoke up after swallowing one hefty serving from his plate. Grover is in trouble. The labyrinth is his only chance of keeping his license. It's what Annie and Clarice had been investigating all this time. You mean the maze that kept the Minotaur? Percy's eyes widened at the revelation. It's here in America? SHHHHH. Naruto shushed his adopted brother. He always seemed to forget that names held power, whether they were in the camp or not. But yes, obviously. Like everything we read in Greek mythology, it migrated to the west as well. So we just find out which building this thing is and building? Annabeth scoffed. Percy, the labyrinth is huge. It won't fit just under one city, much less a building. We could be talking about under the whole of the North American continent here. So, if it's that big, can it reach all the way to the underworld? Percy asked as if remembering something. It could be, but we can't be sure. The labyrinth is just under the surface world, like a second skin, while the underworld is even deeper than that. Naruto explained, but a sudden realization hit him. Why? What did you learn? Was it? Naruto and Percy shared a look. Naruto could tell that Percy just learned something important. Percy was about to explain, but Annabeth interjected with their current topic at hand. Our point is you can go anywhere through the labyrinth. If you don't get lost and die a horrible death. Grover muttered. Hey, don't be like that. Naruto tried to comfort the satyr. Clarice got out of there alive. If she could do it, you could do it too. Barely, Grover argued. And Chris. He lived as well. Annabeth completed his sentence. He just got driven insane. Oh joy, Grover said sarcastically. Like that was any better. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Percy held his hands up. What's this about a crazy guy? Remember the mission Clarice went on last year? Naruto explained. Apparently, Chris Rodriguez appeared near out of nowhere in Arizona, near Clarice's mom's house. Percy remembered the name somewhere. He remembered eavesdropping on him on the Princess Andromeda. That's where Clarice has been all this time. And what do you mean he just appeared? Annabeth nodded. He was found wandering around the desert, in full Greek armor, in 120-degree weather, muttering something about string. String? Percy deadpanned. What does have to do with anything? He was completely mad, so Clarice brought him to her mom's home so the mortals wouldn't shut him in the asylum. She tried her best to get him back to normal, even Chiron came to interview him, but it didn't do any good. The four demigods shivered at that thought. So you think this is the solution to Grover's problems? But it's a maze, right? Percy asked. Grover agreed readily. Full of horrible traps, dead ends, illusions, psychotic goat-killing monsters. Not when we have the string. Annabeth explained, excitedly. She seemed to enjoy talking about the labyrinth so much. After finding Chris, Chiron sent her to scout, but it was too dangerous. There were some close calls. Her voice switched to a frustrated tone. That's when she brought me in. I tried to research everything I could, but I wasn't much of a help, but I really think this could help Grover out. How could Pan be underground? Percy inquired. It's a bad idea, right? Grover looked to the son of Poseidon for support. There are no flowers, no sunshine, no coffee shops. Nothing. There's no way he's there, right? What are you talking about? Naruto shook Grover's shoulders. It's either this or your dream dies with the puppet theater. That's actually sounding much better. The satyr shuddered. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Before anyone can talk any further, Quintus cleared his throat. Naruto and Annabeth were pushing it, sitting on the Poseidon table. Annabeth sighed. Just talk him to it. She nodded to Naruto, and they both returned to their respective tables. Somewhere in the woods of Camp Half-Blood after breakfast the satyr emerged from the shrubbery where a man with gravity-defying hair was waiting for him reading an orange pocketbook. Sensing the new presence of the newcomer, he looked up from his literature. Are you followed? The satyr shook his head. I'm positive. All right. The white-haired man closed his book and brought out a sack of cans he was hiding behind his back. That was a great performance out there, Billy. I aim to please. The satyr bowed as if he were in front of some spectators. Same time tomorrow? Kakashi shook his head. They might start getting suspicious. I'll use some genjutsu tomorrow to shake things up. Well, if you say so. Billy shrugged. With that, both parties nodded at each other and walked away as if nothing happened. After Dian that night, the sword instructor had everyone suit up in their combat armor. This wasn't anything new since they did this every time they played Capture the Flag. The difference was the tension in the air, like this training exercise was a lot more serious than usual. Apparently, there were some crates stocked in the sword arena, and sometime during the day, they disappeared. Those who were able to see the crates figured that whatever they contained was connected to their exercise. This seems more like real combat more than a training exercise, Kakashi said. Oh, stop being a worrywart, Kakashi, Quintus told the other counselor. Think of it as a spar. A deadly no-holds-barred spar. The Jonin sighed. Right, gather round, the sword master announced. You will be in teams of 2. Every camper immediately started talking and pairing up with their friends, and of course, Quintus spoke up to burst their bubble. Which have already been chosen. Oh, the excitement was replaced with complaints. Now, this training exercise doesn't seem all that fun anymore. Now, guy, Kakashi said. We need to be flexible. In war, especially this coming one, you may be paired up with someone you don't even know personally. You will still be expected to work like a well-oiled machine. Well said. Quintus cleared his throat. Now your goal is simple. Collect the golden laurels that are wrapped in a silk package on only one of the monsters. There are 6 monsters all in all, and 5 of them are dummy packages. Find the wreath before other teams, and of course, you have to slay the monster to claim your prize. The campers murmured excitedly. Even if they didn't get their preferred partner, the game sounded fun. This is an application of everything they had been training for years. I will now announce your partners. Quintus spoke again after giving the campers time to internalize the news. There will be no trading, no switching, and no complaining. Aruf! The large hellhound chimed happily as she buried her face on a plate of pizza. Quintus started reading off names. Charles Beckendorf was paired off with Silena Beauregard. Excited whispers broke out from the Aphrodite table. Connor and Travis Stoll formed another team, no surprise there. Clarice and Lee Fletcher of the Apollo cabin were paired together, a deadly combination. Quintus continued reading off names until he reached Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase. Percy looked at Annabeth excitedly, but his partner was looking at Naruto with a challenging look. Naruto Uzumaki and Bianca D'Angelo. Quintus read off. Naruto met with Annabeth's gaze and returned it before turning to his partner and nodding to her. And finally, the counselor read the last name on the list. Grover Underwood and Tyson. Both Cyclops and Satyr jumped up of their seats and spoke up. Bebut Goat Boy Dash. What? Bebut Dash. The 2 of them protested, but they were immediately shut off by Quintus. No complaining. He scolded. Now get with your partner. You have 2 minutes to prepare. Into the WODS. Naruto and Bianca lurked through the woods, hunting their target. The younger demigod was just happy that she was paired up with someone as capable as Naruto. No, scratch that, she wouldn't have it any other way. And so, through the forest they walked, searching for whatever monster held their prize. Somewhere in their woods, they could hear the Stoll brothers tripping over themselves and cursing up a storm. You know, sometimes I doubt if they really are children of Hermes. Naruto told his partner, earning a chuckle. Hey, we heard that. Both Connor and Travis called out, causing the 2 to laugh even more. CRACK, both demigods froze at the sudden sound. It looks like the monster would be hunting them, not the other way around. The monster must have startled itself when it stepped on the twig. Scuttling noises seemed to reverberate around them, and then it appeared, a giant scorpion with thick jagged pincers, an armored tail, and a 3-foot-long stinger. Get ready, Naruto told the newbie. Arrows ready. Naruto and Bianca each drew their arrows and took aim. They let loose their projectiles, but they only shattered on the scorpion's hide. It did no damage, only making it angry. The monster roared, then it lunged forward. Scatter! Naruto yelled as both of them jumped in opposite directions. The giant scorpion was fast for its size. It made its decision, quickly turning towards Bianca. The long tail shot forward, aiming straight for where Bianca landed. Thanks to her training, she was agile enough to roll away from the pointy appendage. Shit! Naruto cursed when he saw the monster applying pressure to Bianca. Bianca, he yelled, throwing a kunai with an explosive tag dangling from the other end. She leaped into the air, barely avoiding one of the legs and catching the weapon. What do I do? Bianca asked. Stick it on its body somewhere, Naruto advised. She turned to the scorpion that was scuttling, turning around to face her. The scorpion once again lunged. Bianca weaved around the swipes. Her moves weren't as polished as an experienced fighter, but they were enough to avoid certain death. Naruto could have jumped in at any time, but he was impressed that Bianca was keeping up with the not-so-little monster. Not long after, Bianca yelped after another claw attack, but she managed to avoid it and stabbed the kunai on the rock-like hide, specifically on the face. The paper attached then started hissing. The monster, though, retaliated and slammed Bianca in the midsection, knocking her away. The scorpion loomed over the demigod that was just slowly getting up. Naruto decided that it was this moment to join the fight. Naruto flickered towards the groggy demigods and socked the monster on its face. He got Bianca in his arms and moved back to a safe distance, watching the paper bomb get consumed by the spark and explode. The explosion shook the forest and distracted both demigod and monster who were fighting by Zeus's fist. Naruto watched if their opponent would get on its feet and continue the fight, but nothing happened. All that the two could hear were the nearby fighting that began to resume again. Well, that was anticlimactic. Naruto let out a breath. He then turned to his partner and asked, You okay? I'll be okay, Bianca said. That's good. The blonde sighed in relief. You did great out there. Now, let's go see if we fought the right one. Bianca and Naruto slowly crept towards the scorpion with their guards still up. They had to make sure that the monster was truly dead, lest fatal consequences occur. Naruto reached for the package tied on the scorpion's tail. Did we win? Bianca asked. Just a sec, Naruto answered as he unwrapped their prize. A bit of rustling later, and they were now in possession of 2 golden laurels. Congratulations, Naruto said as he handed one over to the younger demigod. You won a game all by yourself. Bianca blushed. No, I wouldn't say that. I had a lot of help from you. Naruto chuckled. But did you see how well you handled the scorpion? I suppose. The daughter of Hades looked away, as she got flustered from the praise. Here. Naruto gently took the laurel from her hand. Let me put it on you. He took a look at the girl. You look good with that. Do I really? Of course. Before any of them could say anything, the quiet of the night was interrupted as the sound of breaking rocks echoed through the woods. Looks like they need our help, Naruto said. Let's go. The 2 demigods weaved through the trees towards the other campers. Not long after that, they were greeted with a sight of pure carnage. There were 4 scorpions clustered all together. Trees and broken rocks were scattered everywhere. Fortunately, the trees were part of the few unoccupied ones. Screams got Naruto's attention. He turned towards the source of the screams and saw that Connor's soul was under one of the scorpions about to get devoured. With quick thinking, Naruto hurled a kunai towards the monster, but it hit the ground under it. The scorpion looked around to see where the attack came from. Seeing nothing, it opened its pincers ready to cut the demigod to pieces. Before it could do any damage, a force kicked it upwards, sending it flying up to the air. Naruto quickly followed it up with a giant Rasengan, crushing it with the dense chakra. You okay? Naruto asked. I'm fine, Connor answered. Upon gathering his bearings, he opened his eyes and looked towards his savior. What? You already won? Sheesh. Naruto picked his ears, trying to get the ringing out of his ears caused by Connor's sudden outburst. You didn't need to shout. What's got you worked up anyway? 'Cause I was busting my ass fighting the scorpion, but it didn't have the laurels anyway, he explained. That's okay. Naruto patted the boy on the back to calm him down. You'll get him next time. Come on. We have scorpions to take care of. It didn't take long for them to eliminate the remaining scorpions. Clarice handled a lot of them effortlessly. Upon meeting with the others in a clearing within the woods, the daughter of Ares was livid when she saw the newbie wearing the laurels along with the ninja boy. It looked like she had lost another game to the blonde. All right, everyone, Quintus said. Let us congratulate our winners Bianca D'Angelo and Naruto Uzumaki. There was a round of applause from the group. Has anyone seen Percy? Grover meekly spoke up. No one answered. The others were also looking to the other campers for answers. Sadly, None of them had crossed paths with the pair. That means Annabeth is missing too! Naruto's eyes widened. He raised his hands in front of him and yelled, Tajua Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! A small army of Narutos appeared in the clearing. Naruto, wait! The Jonin tried to stop the other shinobi, but all the clones shot off in opposite directions to scour the woods of any trace of Annabeth and Percy. Kakashi sighed. He never did listen till now. Everyone! Chiron spoke up. Did you really not see anything? Any clue will be very helpful. There was this scorpion trying to force itself through the rocks back at Zeus's fist, Clarice stated. That's a good enough lead, Kakashi said. We'll begin our search around the rock formation. They couldn't have gone far. Kakashi and the crew made their way to Zeus's fist. Now you would wonder why the pile of rocks was named after the Lord of the Sky. Well, from one angle, it looked like a fist, and it was only natural to name things after the king of the gods. On the other hand, the rocks also looked like a pile of deer droppings from any other angle. From then on, Chiron prohibited the camper from calling it poop pile, since it was already named after Zeus, and he wouldn't appreciate the disrespect. Anyway, the campers looked around the area. Kakashi had sent a clone to look for Naruto, so he could help the others look for the missing campers around the area. When Naruto came back, he helped the others look around the vicinity of the rock formation. He almost jumped when Juniper melded out of trees near the rocks. So, this is where you lived? Naruto made small talk as he walked near the tree. Nice tree. Thanks, Juniper said, her cheeks turning a darker shade of green. It seemed that Naruto had the same effect on her just like to other nymphs. She looked around at the search party combing the area. What's all this for? We're looking for Percy and Annabeth, Naruto said. Have you seen them? Oh. Juniper jumped. I saw them around this area and told them about Luke coming here back when he was still with the camp. But then this big ugly scorpion came and I had to hide. Wait, what did you say? Naruto was surprised at the sudden revelation. Scratch that. You said you talked to Percy and Annabeth here? Yes, but I didn't see where they went cause of the monster, she explained. Well, thanks for the info anyway. Naruto bowed and relayed the information to the other campers. About 2 hours later, Clarice called out. They're here! Naruto immediately rushed towards the war girl's location. True to her word, there was Percy crawling out of the rocks. Not far behind him, Annabeth crawled out. Without even waiting for the girl to get up, Naruto scooped her up and wrapped the girl in an embrace. Are you okay? He asked. Where have you been? Are you hurt? Annabeth blushed at Naruto fussing over her. She was surprised that the blonde was even worried about her. She was expecting the attention to go to Percy, since he was the blonde's brother, but this was what was happening. Speaking of Percy, I'm here too, you know. The son of Poseidon deadpanned as he watched his adopted brother fuss over the daughter of Athena. He had to admit, he was feeling a bit jealous, not because of the concern over the girl, but because of the contact. Stop fussing over your girlfriend, Blondie, or you'll suffocate her. Clarice spoke up, ruining the moment. Naruto opened his eyes and immediately blushed. He scratched the back of his head the way he always did when he was flustered. Sorry about that. He's not my boyfriend. Annabeth snapped as well with the same flushed face. Yeah, keep telling yourselves that. Clarice rolled her eyes. Tell us, Percy. Chiron spoke up in a serious tone, indicating that joking around was over now. Where have you been? We just fell into a hole over there. Percy answered, pointing towards the crevice under Zeus's fist. We were only gone for a few minutes. Sorry to say, Percy, but you were gone for over an hour, Kakashi said, stating the contrary. But we've only been exploring that tunnel for a couple of minutes. Percy tried to reason, but everyone shook their heads. The other campers as well wanted to ask a bunch of questions, but even before they could start, Chiron spoke up. That will be enough theatrics for today. This is not the right time to talk about that. All of you to your cabins. Now! There was a bunch of protests, but they drifted off, albeit with a bunch of grumbling and whispers amongst themselves. Some were even bumping fists and exchanging bags of what Percy could only assume was coins. You found it, didn't you? Clarice asked the daughter of Athena. This is what Luke is after. Naruto nodded. Juniper told me he was milling around the area even before he deserted us. He must have known about it even then. You don't mean? Percy's eyes widened in realization. Yes, Annabeth confirmed. We just found an entrance to the labyrinth. Chapter 4. Annabeth Gets a Quest. Father! A young boy called out to a frail man as the two massive oak doors moaned open and the poor old man was flung in the room. This man wore tattered robes. His hair was streaked with gray, and his beard was long and curly. For some reason, his nose was broken, and his lips were bloody. The boy cradled the old man in his arms. What did they do to you? He turned to the guards responsible with a murderous look. I'll kill you! There will be no killing today! A voice came. The guards at the door parted, revealing a tall man in white robes. He was wearing a thin, gold circlet on his head. His beard was pointed like a spear blade. You helped that Athenian kill my Minotaur, Daedalus. He addressed the old man with eyes glittering cruelly. You even turned my daughters against me. You did that to yourself. The now named Daedalus croaked. Not happy with his prisoner answering back, the king ordered the guard to plant his boot on the poor old man's chest, causing him to writhe in agony. Worried about his father's well-being, the boy cried. Stop! You love your maze so much that I decided to let you stay here. The king continued. This will be your workshop. You will make me new wonders. Amuse me. Every maze needs a monster. You will be mine. I don't fear you. The old man answered, as he recovered from the beating he was given. The king's face morphed into a cold smile. But you love your son, don't you? He swept out of the room, letting the threat hang in the air. Not long after, the doors were shut, leaving the father and son in complete darkness. What shall we do? The boy moaned. They will kill you, father? Daedalus swallowed with difficulty but tried to smile for his son. It was a gruesome sight with the blood everywhere and all. Take heart, my son. He gazed up to look at the stars. They shone brightly in the dark of the night, a reminder of the outside world. I will find a way. Camp half blod. The excitement that finding the labyrinth's entrance within their own camp was cut short when Chiron sent everyone away to sleep, but everyone found it hard to doze off. Why don't you try falling asleep when there's a looming threat to your home and your well-being? But as soon as the sun was ruling the skies once again, Chiron called for a war council. Usually, this council would be held in the rec room, but today, the activities director decided to hold it in the sword arena. Everything was normal, well, except for the massive mastiff chewing on a life-sized rubber while you discussed the fate of your home. The heads of the camp stood at the front by the weapons rack. Clarice and Annabeth, an unusual combination, sat next to each other leading the briefing. Tyson and Grover made sure to sit as far away from each other as possible. The others present, the head counselors of the cabins and Juniper, sat around the table. And since this meeting involved the safety of the camp, the head of security, Argus, was also attending the meeting. The whole time the two girls were talking, he trained his eyes on them, making them go bloodshot from the staring. Wait, so let me get this straight. Silena told the tree nymph. You've seen Luke use the entrance multiple times, but you didn't say anything until now. Hey! How should I know that cave was important? Juniper protested. It was a cave. Caves are yucky. She cringed at the thought. She has good tastes. Grover sighed dreamily. I wouldn't have paid attention, but you know, it was Luke. The dryad blushed a darker shade of green. Forget I said anything. The satyr huffed jealously. And you believe Luke would dare use the labyrinth as an invasion route? Quintus asked as he polished his sword. Now, Quintus, Kakashi said. They may be on to something here. From what Clarice and Annabeth had said, Luke had been scouting the labyrinth all this time. Naruto said, and if they succeed in looking for the string, they'll be able to sneak a whole army of monsters right underneath our noses without having to worry about the boundaries protecting us. Clarice completed the sentence left hanging. How did you know he was sending scouts? Connor asked. Because I found one. Clarice answered. Who? The other Stole asked the question on everyone's mind. Chris Rodriguez. It was Chiron who answered. Wait, you mean you found Chris in the maze? Travis's eyes widened when they heard about their missing cabin mate. Is he okay? What happened to him? Connor asked. Clarice shot the both of them a glare, causing the twins to drop the question. The point is, Luke has been searching for Daedalus's workshop. Daedalus? The guy who created the maze? Percy asked like he was remembering something. Yes, the greatest architect, the greatest inventor of all time. Annabeth explained with a bit of sparkle in her eyes as he talked about her idol. He's the only one who can navigate the maze perfectly. If they manage to convince him to help them, They wouldn't fumble about looking for paths leading to the camp. They wouldn't risk losing minions to the traps in that maze. They'll be able to navigate perfectly and safely. First to Camp Half-Blood, then to Olympus after wiping us out. The whole arena fell silent, save for the squeaking produced by Mrs. O'Leary's yak. They sat in silence contemplating their fate, and the fate of their camp. After a few seconds of silence, Charles Beckendorf spoke up. Back up a second, did you just say convince Daedalus? He lived 1,000 years ago. Shouldn't he be dead? Coming to this world, there are a lot of things I didn't think was possible or would ever think existed. Kakashi spoke up. Let us approach this as if anything could be possible. For all we know, he could be listening in on us from somewhere. The Jonin eyed his fellow counselor as he spoke. Quintus was taken aback by his fellow counselor, but he hid it well. He cleared his throat. You may be right. But didn't the old stories say he fled into his maze all those years ago? There certainly were, how do you put it, disturbing rumors about the ancient architect, but no one truly knows what truly happened to him. The centaur answered the question, his hooves clopping nervously on the stone floor. One of them though suggests that he disappeared into the labyrinth at the end of his life. He might still be there. Which is why we have to explore the labyrinth ourselves, Annabeth announced. We will have to find Daedalus's workshop and convince him to help us and not them. And if Ariadne's string really does exist, then we make sure it does not fall into their hands. Wait, Percy spoke up. If the attack is our problem, then why not just blow up the entrance? Grover brightened up at the suggestion. Why didn't we think of that in the first place? I'll get the dynamite. Not so fast, goat boy, Clarice said, grabbing the satyr by the scruff of his neck, preventing him from going anywhere. It's not that easy. I tried it before, and it didn't work. In any case, we'll just fight. Naruto's cousin spoke up. We know where they'll appear from, so we know where to blow them up when they appear. We will certainly set up a defensive line surrounding the rock formation. Chiron nodded. But we are severely outnumbered. We might not survive the fight even if we prepare. Whatever good mood the campers woke up with was immediately shattered by that piece of news. It was rare for Chiron to sound so pessimistic like this, which didn't help the already sour mood. Our only chance is to get to Daedalus's workshop before they do. Annabeth insisted on her plan. While we're at it, we find the string and keep it off Luke's hands. You seem to believe in this plan of yours. Naruto spoke up. If you really think that it would work, then I'm in. I'll help you. We'll save the camp, no matter what it takes. That's a promise, and I never go back on my word. In that case, we'll need a quest, and I know just who to lead it. Chiron turned to Annabeth, but before he could speak, Percy voiced out his concerns. Whoa, hold up, how do we navigate through it? He said. How do we know we can even do it? I've studied the labyrinth's architecture for years now. She countered. If anyone has even a remote idea of how to find our way through the maze, that would be me. Do you think that's enough? Percy argued. It has to be. Annabeth snapped. Well, it isn't. Percy yelled as well. That's enough. Naruto raised his voice, stopping the two arguing demigods. If Annabeth says she can do, then she'll lead us through it. But we have to put our trust in her, Percy. The blonde didn't even give him time to speak, effectively putting a stop to the subject. Now, Chiron, if you will, as I was saying. The said centaur cleared his throat. Annabeth Chase, it is your turn to lead a quest. Now, child, go visit the oracle. A few minutes later, it was hard waiting for Annabeth's first visit with the oracle to finish. Naruto was worried about his friend. He already had his chance at meeting his uncle Seer, but it didn't help with easing his anxiety. It didn't help that there were these rumors that campers had gone insane or died in fear. Naruto watched Percy pace the arena for the umpteenth time. He had lost count after the 15th pass in favor of thinking about Annabeth. Not even Quintus's and Augus's argument was able to ease their worry one bit. Curiosity did not hit them one bit. The blonde looked up from his thoughts to see that Percy wasn't in the arena anymore. He must have been so deep in thought that he had missed when his brother had left. Checking his watch, he noticed that a considerable amount of time had passed. It shouldn't have taken this long to get the prophecy from the oracle. Something must have happened. He decided to go see for himself what happened. He reached Big House's front parlor. It was strangely quiet. Or maybe he was just used to seeing the old wine god playing cards and complaining about ungrateful demigods and the lack of wine in his diet. It was so quiet, in fact, that every squeak from the floorboards echoed through the building. He walked through the hallways of the big house towards the stairs. He remembered the route he took to get to the Oracle's room in the attic. Before he climbed the stairs, though, something broke through the silence. It was soft, as if someone didn't want to be heard, but through Naruto's trained ninja senses, he could hear it as clear as day. It was the sounds of sobs. Naruto listened further. Not long after, a voice came. "It's okay. Try a little more nectar." It almost sounded like Clarice, but the sobs say otherwise. Naruto never heard her like this before. "You're an illusion, Mary." Naruto recognized this one. He stayed with this guy way back when he still lived in cabin 11. It was Chris Rodriguez. "My name's not Mary. My name is Clarice. Don't you recognize me? Please remember." "No. It's so dark. Help me," the blonde sighed. He felt like he was eavesdropping on something that he shouldn't have. He decided to continue on the way and give the couple privacy. He had never heard Clarice speak with such tenderness in her voice before, not even to her siblings, so he was surprised to hear her talk to someone this way. He decided to help them out. The rest of the way, he carried his feet with practiced ease so that the two wouldn't hear him skulking around. As he left them to their own devices, he thought to himself, "Maybe I could get Mr. D to help you, Chris, not for you but for Clarice." As he neared the ladder to the attic, he heard a sob. It sounded like someone had just finished crying. It was followed by creaks and footsteps. Not long after, Annabeth descended the stair with her eyes a little red. "What are you doing here?" she asked sternly. "You're not supposed to be here." I know, but I was worried about you," Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. "So, are you okay?" Annabeth felt touched by the gesture and looked away in embarrassment, but she still answered the question. "I'm fine, I see." Naruto knew that she really wasn't. He didn't pry any further. "I guess we should head back." "We should, but what about you?" the quest leader asked in worry. "You might get in trouble." Naruto just winked at her and disappeared in a golden flash that was subsequently followed by a puff of smoke. Annabeth shook her head and left the big house. Warcuncal Annabeth walked up to her fellow camp counselors. She met eyes with Naruto, who winked at her. Chiron was the first to greet her, though. "My dear. You made it." Her face was unreadable, but she still spoke up. "I got the prophecy. I will lead the quest to find Daedalus' workshop." Nobody cheered. Contrary to what they showed, though, everyone was happy for Annabeth. She lived in the camp for far longer than anyone present in this council, so it was about damn time that she get a quest of her own. The problem was, this was an extremely dangerous quest. "What did the prophecy say, my dear?" "Remember, the wording is important," Chiron asked. Funny, why did this sound familiar?" Well, you shall delve in the darkness of the endless maze. The dead, the traitor and the lost one raise you shall rise and fall by the Ghost King's hand, the child of Athena's final stand." Everyone stared at her, waiting for her to state more lines, but she seemed reluctant to share. "The prophecy doesn't sound complete," Chiron said. "Are there any more lines?" Annabeth shifted uncomfortably. "Something about destroy with a final breath. Then that's it, I think." Naruto gave her a skeptical look. He knew that Annabeth had a good memory, so he knew that she didn't forget the lines. Still, he didn't pry any further. Prophecies tend to be depressing, so he assumed it had something to do with it. "I see." Chiron had the same idea as Naruto. "Just know, child, prophecies have double meanings." "Yes, I know." The girl's voice trailed off. "But we have good news." Grover spoke up. "The lost one, if that's not Pan in the prophecy, then I don't know what is." Percy, ever the optimist, added. "Yeah, but the line also mentions the dead and the traitor. Them, not so great." "And who's this Ghost King?" Charles added. "He doesn't sound good either if you would fall by his hand as the prophecy says." Percy and Naruto looked at each other. It was like their minds synced. Was Nico involved in this quest somehow? Naruto sighed. "The final stand doesn't sit right with me. I'll go with you to make sure this isn't yours." Annabeth smiled. "Thank you, that's two. Who else?" Kakashi asked. "You usually do it with 3 in a quest, right?" "Count me in," Percy volunteered. The quest leader nodded. "Grover, you too? The wild god is waiting." Earlier, the satyr was adamant about going underground, but the prospect of encountering the wild god in this quest seemed to wash away his fears and renew his vigor. Right. I'll pack extra recyclables, he shouted excitedly. And Tyson too, Annabeth said. I need you. Yay! Blow up thingy's time, Tyson cheered. Wait, Annabeth, Chiron warned the girl. You should think twice about this one. You know that the ancient law states that a hero is only allowed 2 companions. 3 is a sacred number. Relax, Chiron, I'll watch over them as I always do, Naruto said. Naruto has always been unpredictable, Chiron, Kakashi vouched for his student. We'll all come back. Naruto gave him a pose that gave the silver-haired Jonin shivers. It reminded him of Guy somehow, except without the glistening teeth and evil genjutsu behind him. I never go back on my word. Chiron sighed. He had trained so many heroes with as much confidence as Naruto had, but they still met untimely ends. Very well, he reluctantly said. The members of the quest shall prepare, and at dawn, we shall send you off to the labyrinth. Somewhere in the woods of Yellowstone, hunters of Artemis CM Petalia Grace, the newly appointed lieutenant of the hunt, watched over her sisters as they set up camp. They had just finished taking down another monster from Tartarus. It seemed that there were more of them than usual, and their prey was getting more dangerous as the inevitable war drew closer. They were currently resting in their base camp somewhere deep in the forests of Yellowstone. It was then this feeling of unease snaked its way into the lieutenant's stomach. Her head whipped to the direction of Camp Half-Blood. This went unnoticed to her companion, Zoe Nightshade. Is something the matter? She asked. I don't know. Talia shook her head. She was unsure of what to tell her. Ever since I was turned into that tree, it's like I was connected to camp somehow. Now, what are you feeling? Zoe pried further. It's a foreboding feeling. She tried to explain. It's like the camp is in danger somehow. Zoe frowned. She still didn't hold any attachment to the camp, but it was still home to her mistress's son. Shake it off for now, she advised. That is why we are out hunting for the monsters. I guess you're right. Talia nodded. She turned to the rest of the hunt and announced. Rest up, fellow sisters. When we get back to work, we are doubling our efforts. We are doing this for our brother. The next day in the wee hours of the morning knock 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 Naruto awoke to the knocking in the other room. He was having a dreamless sleep like in most nights, which he was thankful for. You didn't need to have dreams clouding your mind before a quest. The blonde groaned as he got up and opened the main door with a yawn. He was surprised to see that Bianca was responsible for the knocking. Bianca, what's wrong? Naruto asked, the worry creeping up in his voice. Hey, Naruto, Bianca greeted, trying to find the words to tell him. See, can we talk inside? I had this dream. Naruto sensed the distress in the girl's voice. He wanted to invite the girl inside, but he knew the rules were strict, and he wasn't sure if his mom would agree to let other people enter her cabin. I don't know, Bianca, you know the rules, Naruto replied, scratching the back of his head. Bianca knew that the blonde would say that, so she decided to tell him right off the bat what this was all about. It's about Nico, she said, causing the boy to widen his eyes. Now, that changes everything, Naruto said. Looking up at the night sky to look at the moon, he made a request. Kazan? Are you listening? Can Bianca come in for a while? We really need to talk about something important. It was subtle, but Naruto noticed the moon brightened just a smidge, giving him the answer that he wanted to hear. He beamed up to the moon, showing his signature grin at the moon, and thanked his godly parent. You're the best, Kazan. Thank you. It's cold outside, he told the girl. Why don't you come in and tell me what happened while I pack up for the quest? I have to get ready in a few hours anyway. The two entered the cabin and went straight to the blonde's separate room. You can sit on the bed, Naruto offered to the girl, which she gladly accepted. Bianca did a quick scan of the room. It was unusually organized. She saw the large cabinet filled with trinkets, the spoils of war from his various quests. There was also one next to it which he opened filled with various clothes. She also noticed two mannequins, one held a Chunin vest while the other held a green full-body spandex. So, tell me what happened, Naruto said, breaking the girl from her wonder. Well, you see. Flashback Nico stood at a graveyard. He watched as gravediggers dug a hole out of the ground. He himself, dressed in a black cloak in the foggy night despite the warm and humid. Frogs croaked in the background, But he paid them no mind as he clutched a red box with the letter M serving as the handle. Is it deep enough yet? Nico spoke, sounding irritated. It seems that he had been watching the gravediggers for quite some time now. Nearly, my lord. A ghost spoke. Whatever this spirit was, it was standing beside him. But lord, I tell you, all this is unnecessary when you have me for advice. Silence! Nico raised his voice slightly, his irritation already getting to him. I will admit that your advice has been helpful thus far, but I want a second opinion. Is that too much to ask? Very well, my lord. The ghost bowed. Nico said nothing. He just snapped his fingers, causing the gravediggers to stop what they were doing. They climbed up from the newly dug pit, revealing what they truly were. They weren't human. They were skeletons. You are dismissed, the boy said. Thank you? You might as well thank the shovels. The ghost complained sarcastically. They have as much sense in them. Nico was irritated by the ghost's constant talking. He opened the red box and poured the contents into the pit. It contained some chicken with a side of fries along with a little plastic toy. He reached to the bag he placed on the ground. It contained a cup and, instead of drinking it, poured it into the same hole. Let the dead taste again, he chanted. Let them rise and take this offering. Let them remember. In my day, we used live animals for the ritual. The ghost commented again. This will suffice. The dead will not taste the difference. Still, I treat them with respect, Nico said. Can I have the toy instead? The ghost said. After pouring the contents of 3 more red boxes and 3 more soda cups, he began chanting in ancient Greek. As Nico chanted, the soupy mixture in the grave started bubbling. The frothy brown liquid rose to the brim of the pit, as if more soda was being added. In addition to that, the mist thickened around them, and the animals were silenced. Just then, dozens of figures rose from the gravestones. They were bluish and humanoid. You don't know your own powers, the ghost said nervously. You summoned too many of them. I know. I've got it under control, Nico said, trying to act tough, but his voice betrayed him. He drew his sword. It wasn't made of either bronze or gold. Nor did it look like it came from steel. Nevertheless, the spirits took the message and retreated. From the crowd, one single figure floated towards the pool of fast food, a literal brave soul. It knelt down and scooped up a piece of French fries. When it stood again, his figure was more solid now. It was a teenage guy wearing Greek armor. He had curly hair and green eyes, a clasp of seashell in his cloak. Speak, Nico ordered. Who are you? The young man frowned as if trying to remember his identity. Then he spoke, his voice dry like crumbling paper. I am Theseus,